Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with Dustin Fox and Mikey McNuggets. I'm Adam the Bull. We've got Anthony and Steve on the other side of the glass, Earl up in his perch. And there's a lot to get to today, guys. It may be the summer, although it's not officially the summer. Mikey was out at the Little League field yesterday, his annual trip. Are we saying what happened, or are we saving it?
It's your call. It was your game. It's your call.
I know, but it depends how you're putting together the thing. Like, do you want to have drama in there? Do you want to whatever, you know?
What drama? What are you talking about?
Oh, there was big-time drama.
Big drama?
Listen,
What
is big-time drama?
You know what? Well, I'll give it a little teaser.
Give it a little teaser.
This is not...
By the way, you spelled the name of our opponent's Kim Crane wrong.
That's the disrespect.
It's not with a K.
I don't respect Kim Crane. That's
you can't
why.
say that. They're a business that spends a lot of money with us.
Kim Crane, we love you.
We appreciate
when
Kim
you
Crane.
come sponsor UCSS, I will properly spell Kim Crane. But a little drama.
Yeah.
And this is not in the
controversy. The beginning of the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is not in the video package you guys will see tomorrow. But I might pull up for the full game. We got some great behind-the-scenes stuff. I'm gonna put two versions out. One the safe for work version. One the language that's not so safe for work version.
Yeah.
But Bull told me beforehand. We did overtime segment on it yesterday.
Yeah.
I got my best lineup. I get my best pitcher going. It's a team that beat us last time. We're ready to rock. And I would say if the game started at 5:45, at about 5:39, 5:40. Bull gets a comment from one of his players, the kid who was supposed to be the starting pitcher, saying, I'm pitching for travel ball tomorrow. I can't pitch.
Oh no.
Bull goes into a tizzy. Now, he kept it under control, but I've learned Bull's mannerisms enough.
I was pissed.
Bull excused himself from the dugout.
I'm not pissed at the kid, of course.
No, just pissed at the situation. Bull excused himself from the dugout. Mics weren't rolling. I wish they were, because I would have loved to have been able to pick up what he was muttering under his breath in those 5 minutes before first pitch. Kind of goes to the back and is decompressing.
Your seventh grader got pulled because
sixth grader.
Your sixth grader got pulled.
Yeah.
He pulled himself.
Well, he didn't pull himself. His dad told him he couldn't pitch
because he's pitching.
But it was not. It should have been communicated by the coach of his travel team, who's a friend of mine, who failed to communicate with me properly, and so I was pissed at him.
Interesting.
And then 2 innings in, Bulls team's down 5-0, and we're just gonna leave the teaser right there.
Just leave it there.
Okay.
Who knows what took place? And it was an ugly 5-0.
Very bad.
It was not looking good at that point.
I have a lot of expletives from Bull.
Did it continue to go off the rails, or was there a miracle comeback by my squad? We'll find out.
And it's worth pointing out, Bull is 0-2.
Going into
games
last night,
that I had been there mic'd up, that he'd been mic'd up with me shooting prior. Yeah. So Bull looking to get off the schneid. And I can't confirm nor deny, but I may have heard a couple of hot seat chants from the crowd in between the first and second inning when they were down.
That is
early,
true.
So.
I was hearing those rumblings. All right, so another big thing is Dustin's getting married this weekend.
Indeed I am.
This is your last show, I believe.
Woo. It's I'm not on tomorrow.
Well, you'll be on with me tomorrow on the podcast, but your last UCSS.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Are you not here next week, I assume, because you're going on honeymoon? Or you?
No, I'm here next week.
Oh, so you're going on honeymoon later.
End of June.
Aha. Right. Where are you going again? Hawaii? No.
Bermuda.
Right. Okay, why are you waiting till the end of June?
Because we're going on a cruise, and that's when the cruise was going.
Okay. I guess it's not waiting that long. It's already June.
No,
so you're only waiting
weeks.
a few days.
We leave in 16 days.
It's actually a good call because everybody rushes to go away like the next day, and sometimes like you got all your gifts, you don't know what to do with them. You get a lot of checks. You go, can I go to the bank before we go away? And blah 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 blah.
By the way, this is like very easy now with these with all the online stuff.
The online registry and
like,
stuff.
Well, that's true.
My first marriage was in 2004.
Yeah,
long time ago.
People were handing you gifts. Or checks
but now it's like we've already got half our gifts.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
Like our bank account's linked up to it, so people will give money. It's like we got a honeymoon fund.
That's it.
Which is great.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be a big day. I know we're all hoping. Dustin and especially his fiance are very antsy about the weather Saturday. So if you're someone who prays, pray for it to be good weather this weekend.
Please, Lord.
Because It's an outdoor wedding. Now, it can be moved indoors if necessary.
But it won't be the same if it's inside.
But you want it outdoors. I know in Cleveland, there's I haven't looked at it, you know, what town is it in? It's not in Canton. Fairlawn. I don't know. Here in Cleveland's 50-50 shot of rain that day.
I looked at Fairlawn, and it said that on Saturday it's like 38%.
All right, that's not bad.
It says scattered showers in the afternoon. We could absolutely not get hit at all. There's been days where, you know, the entire Akron area gets rain.
Right.
But like the club doesn't get touched. And
you just need that small window.
We need the window.
You just need the window for the ceremony's not that long.
Yeah.
You just need that window.
And like even if we just get the ceremony done,
right, that's fine.
That's okay. We move the party inside. It's
right. You want the ceremony outside, so we're all going to keep our fingers crossed, and we're going to pray. We're going to do what we can for Dustin
can we
and his better half, Sarah, and so let's go.
Everyone knows you're marrying me, right?
I don't know if everybody knows that.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you guys didn't know that?
No. Bull's officiating the wedding.
I knew that.
Yes.
I thought we had talked about it.
Yeah, so I'm at the final touches of putting together the ceremony.
Today, whatever.
I'm really at the final stage. I've done like 90% of it. I got one last thing I'm working on.
Folks, he's meticulous.
Thank you.
With this, and I have no doubt that it's going to be incredible, and you're going to do a great job because you do at everything you do. You're just an incredible talent.
He doesn't half-ass anything. That's if Bo says he's going to do something, Bo legitimately does it.
When I told, it's very funny.
Yeah.
When I told some people that, who's marrying you? I'm like, Adam the Bull.
People are like, what?
Well, I mean, most people know who you are.
But
they're like confused, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
This is like a thing. I mean, he's really good at this. He's a very talented entertainer, and also takes this very serious. And he enjoys this.
Have you done it before?
2 times,
I did it once for Jonathan Peterlin and his wife Elise. That was like 20. I can't remember now. 21. I think 21 or maybe 22.
Bro, you should make this a side hustle.
I know, but I only want to see. But here's the thing: I don't want to make it a hustle. I only want to do it for people I know well. I'm not going to charge anybody that I know.
Fair enough.
So if it's a stranger, I don't know that I would do as good a job because I don't know those people. I
mean, just treat it like a cameo. You know, you do those cameos, don't you?
I guess it's a lot of work though.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. So I wouldn't want to do it too regularly. I want to do it with people that I care about, people that I love, and I want it to be special, and that's why I interview the family members. I still got to interview one of Sarah's brothers. I'm talking to him this afternoon, and then that's it. That's the last thing. But I got it. I'll tell you this. Liz talked me out of it because when I'm preparing, especially the last week, it's like I was having a little writer's block last week, and then I woke up at 5 a.m. What's today? Wednesday? I woke up at 5 a.m. Monday, and it was flowing. It was flowing. I was like, boom, 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 boom. I did like 3 pages worth of stuff. Now I cut it down and I'll trim it, but I did 3 pages worth of stuff between 5 and 5:30 in the morning because it was all the things I wanted to hit. I was like, that's it. Ooh, that's good. That's good. And then this morning I ran this by Liz and we decided not to do it because I'm looking for one more thing. And I'm like, I got an idea for a song.
Oh, God.
Okay.
But she talked me out of it. She thought it was too much.
You were going to sing it?
I was going to sing it, yeah. You never know.
Can do it. Hey,
I might change my mind again.
If the mood strikes you, man, do it.
I had an idea for a song. First, it was going to be to the tune of Ebony and Ivory. Then I was thinking Piano Man. Then I went back to Ebony and Ivory. I don't know.
Can you perform it on UCS if you don't do it at the wedding?
Yeah.
Can we hear it as an overtime on UCSS?
I guess. I don't know. But
we should do a karaoke night with everybody.
Out of context, it might not be as good, but I don't know. I hadn't finished all the lyrics, but because I'm constantly thinking about is this going to work? And then you want to balance because you want to have some humor and you want to entertain, but I can't take over the wedding. It's their day. So you got to find that balance of entertaining, keeping people interested, but also keep the main thing
keep
the main
focus
thing.
on them.
So I've found it to be challenging, but a challenge that I enjoy. So
should we show the shoes?
Yeah.
And you got to run out here to get the shoes, though, because they're behind goal.
Well, I can actually reach them.
So you guys have talked about...
I got
and we got
now, to my defense, the reason I never have nice shoes is because they don't fit me nicely. So Dustin said to me a few weeks ago, how do you feel about me buying you a pair of sneakers? And I was very appreciative. And I said, well, I'm not going to turn down a free pair of probably, $200 sneakers, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
I
was worried that they'd be too small, but they actually look
I want to
really
size
good.
up, size up.
Yeah.
You're 12 and a half, these are 13s.
Right.
Or you're 12, right? But you got a wide
12 and a half.
Okay, so
I'm 12 and a half.
These are 13s, and they're cool. So this is actually what I'm wearing these as well. Yeah. Every groomsman's wearing these for the wedding.
I mean, those are pretty sweet.
They're The 11s?
And they look...
Retro low 11s?
They look wide for a Nike.
For a Jordan.
Up for it. Well, Jordan.
How cool is Bull going to be looking in these things, man?
Looking pretty sweet.
Well, you got to be careful where you wear these outside of the wedding, buddy.
Do whatever you want with them after the wedding. Just they'll be fine for the wedding.
Yeah.
Then you just wear them wherever you want.
I appreciate that.
But
that's a sweet gift. I'm excited.
We're swagging Bull out. Look at this. What do you got on there? Skechers?
I got Skechers.
Man,
yeah.
so he's got some J's for this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited. I might have had a pair when I was a kid.
You probably did.
I was probably too young. When did Jordan start?
85.
So maybe when I was in high school. 84? I probably did when I was in high school, but I don't know. Maybe
I definitely had several pairs growing up. They were expensive.
They were.
Yeah.
They still are.
Yeah. Well, now
they're even more expensive. But
and they're $200 retail, but I'm never paying retail because I can never get them because the stupid scam bots.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Or the spam bots. When the shoes get released.
Yeah.
There's all these spam bots that go into like the Nike and they scoop up all the shoes.
That's ridiculous.
And they sell them for more.
That's like
then they sell them for more.
That's like the scalpers buy all the tickets for sporting events, especially baseball.
It's
the worst. The worst.
Anyway, so a lot of exciting things going on right now, and again, everybody pray for good weather.
Please, Lord, no rain.
For Saturday, we'll all keep our fingers crossed. All right, Anthony, get us going here.
Yeah, guys, before we get into everything today, the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with the same-game parlay? If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment count with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, so yesterday was the first day of mandatory minicamp. And I don't know, Dustin, start us off. What were your, based on what you heard?
I also talked to Zach yesterday and today,
Yeah.
and it just sounds like Shedeur Sanders is like really kind of stealing the show, which is very exciting, encouraging.
Yeah.
Although I take it with a grain of salt because it is still June. We've got no pads on. We're talking about 11-11 in no pads.
Right.
About 7-on-7, which is a passing drill designed for the offense. So, I'm sort of impressed that. I'm not trying to stroke Zach's ego any more than we have on this show, but like the dude knows ball, and I trust him 100% because he gets access to go to these practices.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on my couch, so I trust him. And he's like, dude, listen, the guy. All I can say is that he goes where the ball's supposed to go, and it looks the way it's supposed to look. Mm-hmm. And when I hear that tells me it sounds like the Browns may have got a steal with Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round because I think he'll have a chance. I'm not saying he's going to be the starting quarterback in September, like week 1 or 2 or whatever it may be early in the year, but I think he's got a chance to develop into something that hopefully would preclude them from having to draft a quarterback first overall or top 5 next year.
And notice all the positive things Zach said. It had nothing to do with statistics.
Right.
It was all about how he looked.
It's eye test, man.
Yeah, and the eye test is good so far. And Mike, you said something in a text group we have about the way he's handled, the way he talks to the media,
I wanted to bring that
all
up,
these negative stereotypes that he was hit with during the draft process seem to be completely off.
Yeah, when you listen to him, and he spoke yesterday, all we heard about Shedeur coming in, and it was just the pundits and everyone who studies this, he had this. It's not a stereotype, but he was labeled as an arrogant, kind of cocky guy.
Yeah.
And then you hear him talk and watch how he's navigated this early process of being in Cleveland with the Browns, and he comes across completely different. Like, listen to how his teammates talk about him. Listen to how he answered the questions yesterday, in particular, about learning from Joe Flacco and being in a 4-quarterback battle and waiting for his turn to get the reps that he wants. And it just comes across he's incredibly humble, well-spoken, and like. I don't mean this as a negative, but kind of quiet, right? Like, you think Shedeur Sanders, you think the legendary change, you think the draft party. That usually comes with a guy that's boisterous and out there and loud and kind of in your face. And then you actually listen to Shedeur talk and you watch how he handles himself. You watch how his teammates have spoken about him. it's the complete 180 from what you expected to get. And I think that's part of the reason he's assimilated so well so far in Cleveland, outside of what we've seen in shorts, no pads, with no pass rush, which, according to everyone we talked to, Zach Jackson in particular, the one I trust the most, says he looks the part of what you would hope for in a franchise quarterback as much as you can up to this point in the process. So more than anything I've seen on the field from Shedeur, because I can't take too much from guys throwing against basically air, no pass rush, I've been damn impressed with how he's handled himself off the field in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
I did not expect that on June 11th. I'd be like, Shedeur is the complete opposite of what I thought the Browns were actually getting.
And I think fans should be excited that Zach, we keep talking about Zach, but in particular, because he is less prone to fluff praise, like praise based on nothing, than anybody else. Like, I feel like many of us in the media, certainly myself included at times, will get excited about a player for no particular reason. And Zach in a way is almost like Greg Cosell. Like, there's very little emotion involved.
Just what he sees.
In his opinions on these guys. And the fact that, because usually when we talk to Zach, especially off the air, he's like, this guy sucks and that guy sucks. And it's not because he's being negative. It's just because he's being realistic. And the Browns have had a lot of sucky players.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's been so positive and impressed with Shedeur Sanders has me excited because, and this whole thing about him being fourth string, I'm sick of hearing about that. Who cares if he's fourth string?
Aaron Rodgers was fourth string yesterday, by the way, in the Steelers.
Was he?
These mini camps don't mean anything. I
It's
mean,
so stupid.
I asked Zach, I'm like, hey, I know we're going to talk today about maybe, Gabriel got some reps with the ones and 11-11. I'm like, dude, we're going to talk about this today. I'm like, this is nothing. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I mean, they're literally not playing Flacco in 11-11.
Yeah.
Because they don't really need to see anything. They know
I thought that was smart when Stefanski came out and said that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they know. Joe Flacco's been in the NFL for 18 seasons, guys.
Yeah.
Like, he knows. We all know what Joe Flacco can do.
Right.
He knows the offense better than any quarterback in that room. He's played in the league, like I said, 18 years. Like, what do you want to make this guy do 11-11 in June?
No, not necessary.
I'd rather him just be out there and provide some guidance to the young kids.
I like the tracking stats that we've talked so much about. Flacco was a 0 for 0 yesterday, and the numbers they actually counted. Because he didn't participate, Stefanski said it was planned. They said, we know what Joe Flacco brings to the table. We want to evaluate the young guys. I spoke to two people who were in Berea for minicamp yesterday. Zach was not one of them, so I'm curious what he thought. But they both said, and this has nothing to do with Shedeur. This is Dillon versus Dillon for what they'd seen previous rookie minicamps, OTAs versus yesterday. But they say Gabriel had his best day since he'd been in Berea, threw the ball much better than they'd seen in the past. And one of the two people has been hit or miss on their quarterback evaluations. The other one I think has been pretty solid, but they said it was by far Dillon individually his best performance since he'd been in Berea. So we could have two quarterbacks making some noise moving forward.
But you can't really make noise in June, let's be honest. In the end, it's good that they've looked good. It's good that Shedeur's doing the right things. It's good that Gabriel looked better. You prove nothing in June. Nobody proves anything in June. Nobody wins jobs in June. Once the pads come on, that's when it starts becoming real.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this much. Like, now, you're not, like, overly excited or, like, going crazy about a great throw in 7-on-7 in June.
Right.
But I think you do look at a guy who doesn't perform well at all.
That's a big
because here's the thing, these drills are designed to make the offense, especially this time of year, to look good.
Right.
And so if a player doesn't perform well, like if Gabriel or Pickett or Shedeur, they're not playing well and they're not completing passes, then you're like, okay, something's up here because this is designed for this guy to thrive and have success and look good. Yeah, absolutely.
There's more to read into failure at this time than there is to success.
Correct.
And it doesn't appear that anybody's failing.
Right.
So
which is a good thing.
That's a real major positive. So we'll see as things continue on here. In terms of anything else, Deontae Johnson was a story. He hadn't been at voluntary camp. Did he? I don't think he spoke, did he?
He did not speak, no. The only three people that spoke yesterday were Myles, Gabriel, Sanders, and Stefanski. So maybe later.
So the Deontae Johnson thing's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because the more and more I hear and read and talk to people, it sounds like Deontae Johnson actually is going to be, if he wants to be, he's going to have an opportunity to be like the number 2 receiver on this team.
100%.
You know what I mean? And it's interesting because this is a guy that's making no money this year.
Yeah.
No guaranteed money. So, like, you've been cut by 4 teams in 15 months. And those teams, by the way, are good organizations with really good coaches that I played for and trust. And I think that they know some character issues. So if this dude decides that he wants to stop being a turd and play football, he's going to have an opportunity to catch a lot of passes. And frankly, not just make this team and have success, but probably get a decent contract next year if he balls out.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe the Browns end up paying the guy.
You never know.
But again, there's a lot of buts there and a lot of ifs because this guy has been cut 4 times in less than a year and a half.
Right. Again, by the Steelers, the Ravens. The Texans.
Yes.
And the Panthers.
And the Panthers. All right. Well,
3 of the 4.
3 of the 4. 3 good organizations at least, and 2. Ravens and Steelers, 2 of the best organizations in all of the league. So.
Well, and then by the way, if a bad organization cuts you and they're looking for any sort of talent,
true.
That's another telling sign.
Right. Carolina has no receivers.
Yeah, I mean,
and they had a young quarterback. They didn't want him around their young quarterback probably. So and the fact that Baltimore traded for him and then cut him.
Yes.
That's a huge red flag.
Well, Carolina did too. Didn't they acquire him via a trade?
No, they signed him, I think, as a free agent, I believe.
I thought they traded a cornerback.
Maybe.
Could be wrong.
Either way, this is his last shot. If he screws up again,
which, the thing about the Browns in the past is they've actually had some success with this, and Kareem Hunt comes to mind as a guy who had basically been he was out of the league essentially, and then the Browns sort of give him new life. Maybe an opportunity here for Deontae Johnson,
right?
But another Toledo guy, by the way.
And he was
Kareem Hunt and Deontae Johnson, Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Is there a little something, a little magic?
And listen, the guy is extremely talented. We've seen him have success in this league. By far, he's the second most talented player. By far, he's the second most. You could argue he's a more proven player than Jerry Jeudy. You could argue outside of last year. So, I mean, if he plays up to his capabilities, and as you said, he's not a turd, that's a big boost to the Browns wide receiver core for a guy who there's really no risk because you're not giving him, he's getting no guaranteed money. He screws around, they cut him, goodbye.
And his style lends to a young quarterback. He's quick off the line, great at separating. He runs a lot of the underneath routes as opposed to being a deep threat. Well, and if you have a quarterback who you want the ball to get out of his hands quickly, that's the exact kind of receiver.
Well, you've got outside of Flacco, you've got 3 really young quarterbacks who haven't played a lot. 2 who've never played in the league, and 1 who's played barely in the league. Okay, and Zach was telling me, he's like, you can tell a couple things by the young players, is that when they need to get rid of the ball, they're like going to Deontae Johnson because he's a veteran. Like, he knows where to be. He's a good player. You know what I mean, on the field. Like, he's just been a turd off the field.
Yeah,
it
was weird that he wasn't in voluntary camp.
Yeah,
he's I know he's a veteran, but you're fighting for a job.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. I mean, Zach was telling me about this. He's like, a lot of those guys who are like fighting for a job, they're doing special teams drills, and like during that, he's like off. He's like catching jugs machine with the other veterans. So I'm pretty sure the Browns feel like he's going to make the roster. Okay, assuming everything stays the course.
Right, as long as he's does the right things off the field and in the locker room. Like,
I would be surprised after what I've heard that if he doesn't make the team.
All right, well, that's a positive. A lot of the problem was he was constantly complaining about his targets, touches, and you're playing a playoff game with the Texans. You're with a playoff team in Baltimore. You can't complain about
beggars
those
can't
things.
be choosers, man.
Right. Now, hopefully he's learned a lesson, because I don't know that he had a bad reputation coming into the league. Maybe he did.
He didn't. I covered him at Toledo.
Yeah, I don't remember him having any kind of bad reputation. He seemed like a good player. He played with Kenny Pickett 2 years ago in Pittsburgh, right? So none of us really want Kenny Pickett to be the starting quarterback, but
they do have some level of chemistry.
Yeah, you wonder if Kenny Pickett was. I know Kenny Pickett's not any kind of established player, but I wonder if the Browns even said to Kenny Pickett, "Hey, what do you think of Deontae Johnson?"
Can't hurt to ask.
I guess it's possible. All right, we'll leave that there. But we are Myles Garrett, first time in camp as well. Of course, he wasn't, and obviously we get why he wasn't at volunteer mini camp. But he's of course at mandatory mini camp. And before we get to that, Anthony's got something for us.
Yeah, guys, I want to remind everybody that this is brought to you by Buckeye State Credit Union. If you haven't heard of them, meet your new favorite financial partner. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland branch in Shaker Heights, which is one of the 5 locations across the states, make it easier to find one near you. And if you can't get to a branch, it's no problem. They make banking super easy through the digital banking app. What sets them apart? They make banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. Their core values, connect, simply, adapt, guide everything that they do. They bring people together, cut through the clutter, and are innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified.
All right, Anthony. so Myles Garrett spoke yesterday. Guys, he talked about the comments from Jim Schwartz. He talked about trying to get Nick Chubb back to Cleveland, which obviously, didn't happen. What'd you think, Mike, of what he had to say about Jim Schwartz's comments?
Before I get into what he said about Jim Schwartz's comments, there are certain people, we talk about this like Giannis, that just defy the logic of the human species. Myles Garrett beat the gym. Like, we could all work out as much as we want. We could take as much steroids as we want. We could.
Not that you're accusing him of taking steroids.
No, but we could never look like. I just get pissed off every time I see Myles Garrett and the Browns post a picture of him flexing, and I'm like, how do you block this guy? Like, it just looks like a different specimen.
Yeah, he does. Else. He looks very unlike any other player.
In regards to what he said about Jim Schwartz, in case you missed what Jim Schwartz said, Jim Schwartz basically last week at OTA said, Myles went through the whole Radio Row campaign, the trade request, the big contract. They expect the best from him this year, and Myles came out and said, yeah, I expect the best from me too. On paper, at a minimum, a defensive line of Myles alongside a healthy Mike Hall, a top 5 overall pick in defensive tackle Mason Graham, and either Alex Wright, JTS, the former first-round pick they signed in.
By the way, all those guys unproven.
But I'm saying,
all unproven.
In theory, though,
there's talent, but they're all unproven.
That could be the most talented front he's played with, and we've seen all the advanced analytics. I don't have them in front of me, but Myles gets double-teamed more than any other player in football. If some of those other guys, not all of them, but 2 of the 3, 3 of the 5, however you want to parse that up, if they can generate relative consistent pressure, it should open up so many more opportunities for Myles to attack one-on-one. And we talked about his sacks. He has 16 he had 16 2 years in a row, then he had 14 last year. He's got 40, 45 over the last couple of years.
46.
There's no reason why Myles Garrett shouldn't be able to set a career record in sacks this season if the other guys on the defensive line are able to live up to the pressure we think they can. They also signed Malik Collins this offseason, their biggest free agent signing, who is a plus pass rusher from the interior. So I like Jim Schwartz putting the pressure on Myles Garrett. I like Myles Garrett accepting the pressure from Jim Schwartz and understanding with said contract comes said responsibilities. And there's no reason, if things fall right, that Myles Garrett can't put up a career year, even though he's 8-9 years into his NFL tenure.
I think there's mutual respect between Schwartz and Myles. And, Myles, I think, handled it pretty well. I think Jim Schwartz was right. I mean, he's not really calling him out. I mean, I guess he sort of is to some degree, but he's not being a dick about it.
He's just challenging
He's just challenging his best player, which is what really good coaches should do. And I don't care if you're a pro or not. You should be challenged every single day. And if you are the best player, then you should be totally fine with being challenged because you should be the best at everything. And also be the best at taking criticism and knowing how to look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I've got this responsibility to be the guy, and so it's my job to go out here and not only lead. He doesn't have to be a vocal leader because that's not his style. I get that, but he can lead by example, and by example I mean every snap. Go.
Yeah, I thought his response to Jim Schwartz was great because he could have been a little annoyed by what Jim Schwartz said.
I think they have a good relationship.
But I think they have. I don't think Jim Schwartz would have said what he said about his best player if he didn't feel confident that his relationship with Myles would lead Myles to understand what he was doing.
My estimation is that and this, I have nothing to back this up, but I think he may have already been told that behind the scenes, and he just sort of told the media, this is what we've talked about, without saying we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And to your point, there's nothing wrong with challenging your best player to be the best.
Yeah.
That's you think Kobe didn't want to be challenged?
My coaches challenged me all the time, even in high school, because obviously in high school I was the best player on the team, or one of them, and it was my job to be a leader. And then at Ohio State, developed into a leader, becoming a captain, and the coaching staff asked a lot of me, which I loved, and it made me step my game up in terms of being a leader and doing the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think every player wants to be given that responsibility because it's a sign of respect. And Myles Garrett is capable. There's nothing he's not capable of in the game of football.
Exactly.
Right. Nothing. He is. And I don't like using the term God-given talent because in a way it diminishes what he's done and how hard he works and what he does to accomplish what he's a physical specimen, but he didn't just get there eating, sitting with me eating Doritos and potato chips. He's been working his ass off his entire life to get, he had some physical advantages that other people didn't have, but he could have wasted them. There's been plenty of people that have. He hasn't. He's a fantastic talent. Now, I'm not nearly as convinced as you are that he has this great talent around him. You're naming all these names of guys who have accomplished essentially nothing in the NFL.
But they do have potential.
Okay, but, Jadeveon Clowney played with. That guy was the number 1 pick in the draft.
Fair.
And he's had, some success in the NFL, not tremendous. I mean, Mason Graham, there should be high expectations. I certainly have high expectations. He's the 5th pick in the draft, but he's still a rookie. And unless Mason Graham in particular, or one of the defensive tackles, makes a massive impact, nothing's going to change. Nobody's early in the season.
No,
they're not going to double team Myles Garrett less because of Mason Graham.
Right.
But that means the interior guys are going to get one-on-one opportunities, and if they can succeed, that's when the whole offensive line focus shifts.
Concede, as you said, they got to be consistent. They got to be. There's got one of the tackles, and obviously Mason Graham is the most likely, has got to become at some point. It's maybe unfair to say this right away, a dominant force.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could take any level of pressure or double team off of Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett is without a doubt, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, Dustin, certainly you. I don't care about T.J. Watt, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby. He is forget arguing who's the best player. I'll tell you this, there's no more feared player in the NFL.
No.
If you're an offensive coordinator, you are more concerned with Myles Garrett than any pass rusher in the league, period, end of conversation. That's it. So the only possible way you're going to change your game plan at all, and it might not happen no matter how good Mason Graham is, but he's got to, at some point, reach a Pro Bowl level. That's the only way you got any hope of taking something away from Myles Garrett, in terms of double teams.
You remember in 23, Jim Schwartz's first year here when the Browns had that number 1 ranked defense? They moved Myles around way more than I think they did last year. I always go back to week 1 against the Bengals. That went away,
I think.
Yeah, when he was doing the crossover in front of Joe Burrow, and they motioned him, and then I think it was Tennessee, then motioned back and then called a timeout.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing a ton of that last year, and I'm curious if that was partly because they didn't think they had the other horses on the defensive line to allow Myles the freedom and the creativity to attack from other areas besides the edge, or if they'll go back to more of a mix and match, let Myles pick his matchup and everyone else adjust this year.
Why do you think, Dustin, that they were more, at least it seemed they were more creative with Myles Garrett in 23 than 24? Because they were moving him around more in 23, and last year it just felt like they were not doing that very often.
I mean, it's a question I'd love to be able to answer.
Yeah, I don't know how you can answer
I have
that.
no way of like, other than just guessing
about
certain scenarios or whatever. But no, I don't know. I mean, either way, we know Myles Garrett's going to have a great year. He always has a great year. But there's a difference, I think, between, like, because he always puts up the numbers every single year, no matter what. But I love that the crossover, and then he gets
it's
the
such
sack.
a sick, such
it's
a sick
like,
play.
oh yeah, let me give me that, and then. Thank you, Joe Burrow.
The Bengals center is like
I can watch
crapping himself right now.
Oh, he is crapping his pants.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's
hits it with a crossover and a Euro step, by the way.
Yeah,
watch the one left and then go right.
Oh my God, dude. His footwork is so good.
Look at the athleticism difference between him and the Bengals.
He's
center.
playing basketball, and then he decides I'm going to just sack Joe Burrow.
Did he sack him on that play? Did he?
No,
I mean, it looks like he's about to.
I think Burrow ended up throwing it away.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't believe that.
But he got immediate pressure on him.
He blew up the play. He eviscerated whatever Cincinnati wanted to do offensively.
That's right.
Play. That is a quick pressure win for Myles Garrett 100 out of 100 times. And I hope they go back to doing more of that. I feel like Myles is at his best with more freedom.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's, to your point, Adam,
yeah.
And I just want to comment on what you said.
Yeah.
He is the most feared player in the league.
Right.
Like,
right, yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. I mean,
who else would be more feared?
I don't know. I don't know who anybody could. Like, Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks, but nobody thinks it. Like, and he's a really good player, but nobody thinks of Trey Hendrickson. T.J. Watt, as great as he is, he's had a lot of help on that D line.
Micah Parsons might be the only one even in that stratosphere.
But he's not.
Myles,
but
he's not
Myles Garrett. He's not Myles Garrett. He doesn't look like Myles Garrett. He doesn't have that. Like, Myles Garrett almost is a little scary because he's so unique in his personality,
right?
Where he's like kind of this like quiet guy, but he's also deep down inside a stone cold killer.
Yeah,
he's a killer who likes poetry and dinosaurs.
Right. He talks about the quarterback graveyard.
He mentioned that with Aaron Rodgers last night.
He's like a psychopath, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Which in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's gonna kill anybody.
No, not.
But I think that he's like borderline, a little crazy.
Yeah,
which is good.
He is in a good football
Yes.
way. Yes, he's a little. Yeah, he's scary, no doubt. I mean, and there's not a lot that's going to scare another football player, but when you have a guy with that size and strength and that athletic ability, I don't know that we've seen that very often.
Dude, Myles Garrett could wear a tutu and play defensive end, and everyone in the league would be scared of that guy.
It's a great line.
We got to do that. You know what? If anybody would do it, it'd be Myles Garrett. That guy don't care.
No.
Like, he don't care. Like, in some ways, he's a nerd.
Yes.
He likes and there's nothing wrong with dinosaurs and poetry and cartoons and anime.
Yeah.
Myles is into that kind of stuff. He's been into that kind of stuff since he was in high school.
Mike, I'm going to ask you a trivia question. What dinosaur killed the most humans?
It's a trick question. An
Zero.
alligator.
Is it chicken?
It's zero. You know why?
Because they
Dinosaurs didn't
weren't
exist?
around with humans.
Never. They didn't exist at the same time.
Well, that's why I said alligators. Alligators are a great descendant.
Yeah, fair enough. So are birds, descendants of dinosaurs too. But there's your history lesson for the day.
What do you think of Myles Garrett when he was asked about Aaron Rodgers joining the AFC North?
And he said he wanted to put him in the quarterback graveyard.
It's a great opportunity to put him right in the quarterback graveyard.
So to be in the graveyard, you have to be sacked by him?
Yeah.
Sacked by Myles Garrett.
Remember he
sacked
did
Rodgers?
that for Halloween?
I know that, but he's never sacked Rodgers, ever?
How many times
In
did he
don't know.
9 years, he's never sacked Aaron Rodgers?
You'd think he played him.
Let me look up his game log against.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking, has he never sacked Aaron Rodgers?
I wonder if. Yeah, that seems impossible to believe. I mean, he probably hasn't played him that much, but
They played him at least a few times.
yeah, you know, over those amount of years, you're going to play every team at least twice. Well, no, you play the NFC divisions every 4 years.
I mean, I know they played him on Christmas one year.
So according to what I looked up here, he's played him once when he was still in Green Bay in 2021.
Was that the Christmas game?
Yeah, it was a Christmas game.
And did he have a
Was
sack?
there a sack or no?
No.
Okay, so then
All right,
that's the
so
deal.
he only played
He's
once,
got a sack.
yeah.
He's never sacked.
Maybe one of them was hurt for the other time they played. They must have played the Packers at least one other time, and then the Browns didn't play the Jets last year.
They didn't and he was out for 2 years.
What
Because
do you mean
he was. Rodgers missed all of 23.
Right. Then he missed some time. So yeah, only played one. All right, so he's got to get him in the graveyard. He'll get potentially 2 shots. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers can make it through the whole season.
I just love the outwardness
Yeah.
of which Myles comes out and says, "Yeah, I can't wait to put him in the graveyard."
He's not afraid. He's gotten much talkier in terms of.
I was gonna say it feels like even in the 3 years we've been here, and that knew a little bit of Myles from his A&M
At this point, he's
times.
earned the right to be able to do that. No one's going to
Yeah.
challenge him on it. No one's going to be like, "Oh, Myles Garrett, who does he think he is? This guy."
Yeah, right.
I mean,
But there are some guys that are so afraid to say anything along those lines because it can be turned into bulletin board material that they refuse, even if they're at the highest of high status.
I think he sure came out of his shell last year during this negotiations.
Yeah.
You know,
Big
at the
time,
Super Bowl when he did the Rich Eisen thing.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like he really stepped out of his comfort zone to become. I mean, honestly, like the things that he was saying, I'm like, that's kind of out of character for him.
Yeah. I think he started to do it last season because I think he was publicly trash talking more than we'd ever seen before, and then he took it to another level with the off season.
Okay, so let me. You guys know I'm going to make a tennis little reference here, especially after the greatest tennis match of all time on Sunday.
That was crazy.
Between Carlos Alcaraz and Sinner. There's a player. He's old now.
That's a bold statement, by the way. Greatest tennis match of all time.
I think. I mean, there's been a couple other really good ones that come to mind. 2019 Wimbledon comes to mind.
I'd say that's the one I think.
2012 Aussie. But either way, I don't want to bore you on these great matches.
That was
but I want to make the point about how, Novak Djokovic is one of those guys who it makes me think of Myles Garrett because as he got older, he started becoming a little cockier. Because he started kind of beating up on the young guys, and to the point where he would actually just win points by his aura. Aura, as the kids say these days. He farms, as my daughter would say. No, but that's
aura farms.
Aura farms, creating
what does that mean?
creating aura.
Yeah.
I don't get it either, Bull.
Yeah,
I never heard of that.
I
Okay,
ask your son about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's where Myles is at now, and this is his 9th year or 10th year coming up.
He was drafted in 17.
Yeah, so 9th year. Yeah, and he's like, screw it. I mean, I've accomplished basically everything in this league outside of winning the title, and I can talk shit.
Yeah.
And I can back it up, and there ain't a person in this league that's going to say otherwise.
The only thing he doesn't have the power to do is apparently influence Andrew Berry on what they should do with some of the roster moves. Because he did say yesterday, too, And maybe the most interesting little tidbit that came out of his press conference was he lobbied Andrew Berry to bring back Nick Chubb.
That's just him being a good friend.
Right. I mean, listen, the ship had sailed after the draft. That was the final straw. But you know what? I didn't think about this initially, but it seems like maybe Nick Chubb wanted to go. Like,
does Nick Chubb want to be the third-tier running back here in Cleveland, where he'd been the man?
No, on a bad team?
Yeah.
You know, Houston's got a good team.
I think it's a good spot for him to sort of, move into this new role, which is going to be, you're going to be like a third down back, veteran.
Yeah.
You're not going to get 1,000 yards probably.
No.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. But he's probably not going to get the carries to get 1,000 yards.
No, but he's playing with a contemporary back, like a guy who came into the league around the same time he did.
Is it Mixon?
Mixon, yeah. Who else do they have?
They traded up to draft Woody Marks out of USC in the 3rd round. So that's their 3 running backs.
Right,
and Woody Marks is more of a receiving back than he is like a power back. Like
I think they'll use Mixon, and I think they'll kind of split carries between Mixon and Chubb if Chubb is good, and then use the young guy as the 3rd down back maybe. And Mixon and Chubb both are guys who, they don't need to have that many carries at this point in their career. But I'd love to see Nick Chubb, get that. If he has I wouldn't count him out of having some juice left.
Oh, I think he's
as an 8-10 carry guy.
Oh, yeah, and I think that he does have that sort of juice in him. But for like the Browns' perspective, what do you have to gain?
No.
I mean, if you have, it's like almost kind of sad if he's here. You know what I mean?
No, it was time to move on at this point.
It's good for both parties here.
I think we're all going to root for Nick Chubb to have success in Houston. There's no doubt about it. But and it's going to be weird. I mean, it's going to be weird seeing him wearing that Texans uniform.
And he's wearing 21 too, which was his high school number, not even the number he wore here. It looked weird yesterday seeing the Texans put out those clips of Nick Chubb in practice and not.
He wore 27 at Georgia, 21 in high school, 24 here.
Yeah, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, somebody was saying to me they got to retire his number, but they don't really do that in football.
They're putting him in the Ring of Honor.
He'll obviously be in the Ring of Honor.
Retire his number?
Yeah, they don't retire football numbers. I mean, not really.
We've got multiple Hall of Famers, and they're not retired.
Yeah, you don't do that.
I mean, we had Jed Wills ask for Joe Thomas's number.
Did you hear about this? Were you here that
the day after he was drafted?
No, I didn't hear this.
Joe Thomas told us.
I mean, talk about putting a guy in an awkward spot. Jed asking Joe Thomas for his number. Now, talk about a guy
after he's retired.
Yeah. When the Browns drafted Jed Wills, Joe had already retired, and he asked him to. And the Browns had retired his number.
So Jed wore 73 to Alabama.
I guess so. I
thought
remember.
He wore 71.
But he
was 71 too.
I'll look it up.
But he wanted Joe's number, and Joe was like put in an awkward position. And then Stefanski said to him, "No, you can't have that number." Like Stefanski took care of it.
In college?
He wore 74 in college. Thomas was 73 though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Why, it makes no sense. Why would he?
I think he just wanted the number.
I don't know, but that was.
I guess it should make sense.
That actually makes it worse.
But yeah, I mean, that tells you, as we've often said, Dustin, you can't coach awareness.
You cannot, man. It's unfortunate for a lot of people.
Yeah. That should have told us something. If we had known that story, because we didn't know that story until Joe told us that.
Joe had never told
like
that story before.
He was on the show and he told us that. We were like, oh my God.
First time he said that.
And Joe was like, wanted to be like, no, you can't have, but he didn't want to be a D about it. So
to the new rookie.
Fortunately, Stefanski took care of it.
I would have said if I was Joe Thomas in that situation, because it's really an impossible situation for him. Because what are you going to do? Like you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they haven't retired your number, but like.
They just don't do that in football. So
here's what I would have done if I'm Joe. I'd have said sure, and then I immediately got up and called Coach Stefanski and said, and the EQ guys, and I'd be like, just so you know, this guy's going to come to you and ask for my number, and he has my blessing. Right. Do not give him my effing jersey.
Maybe that is what happened.
That could, yeah.
I mean, it should. Kevin Stefanski's aware enough. He ain't letting that happen. Well, didn't it happen with Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah.
Who wanted to wear Lawrence Taylor's number?
56.
Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
The guy they just drafted.
I mean.
And then he called Phil Simms next and asked for 11. That's what he wore.
Is that true?
Yeah. And Phil Simms said no, too.
I mean, Phil Simms, that's a different story. He's not a legendary player. He's a good player.
Super Bowl champion.
But both those numbers are retired.
But Lawrence Taylor is like maybe the greatest defensive player in the history of the sport.
Up there.
Yeah. I mean, the guy was an absolute monster.
Do the Browns,
can you imagine? He's crazy, too. Can you imagine?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, man.
Jim Brown's number's retired in Cleveland, correct?
I don't even know if his number's retired. I feel like I don't know retired numbers for football. If any number is going to be retired by the Browns, it would be Jim Brown. I don't even. Who pays attention? That's a baseball thing.
You guys want the jersey numbers that have been retired?
Yeah. If there are any, it's got to be Jim Brown.
You've got 14 for Otto.
Yep.
32 for Jim.
Yeah.
45 for Ernie Davis, and then 46 for Don Fleming, and 76 for Lou Graza.
Lou Groza.
Like those guys are all, ancient players, right? They don't really do that anymore.
Also, other than
Remember, in those days there wasn't as many players.
Yeah.
So you could retire some numbers and you still have plenty of numbers.
Also, 45 and 46 are not in hot demand by any means either.
No,
Like,
yeah.
how many 45s and 46s do you
Those
see?
are
on
long
the
snapper
national-
numbers, man.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
32 is a real number. There's a lot of 32s.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Running back DB.
14 quarterback, now
Linebacker,
receivers.
Yeah.
But yeah, 45 and 46. So
No, not hot commodities.
No.
All right, we'll leave it there. Let's talk some baseball.
Yeah, Bo, you want to tell us about Menu RX to get us into baseball?
Sure, yeah. Spoke to my guy, Dr. Jake May, this morning. If you're looking to find out better ways to fuel your body, what types of foods work best for your body, you might think, well, how do I know that? I'll go and watch some video on Instagram of some gym bro telling me I got to eat oysters and whatever, potato chips or something. But these guys, they don't know what they're talking about. You can't be trusting random people on the internet. My guy, Dr. Jake May, and his team at Menu RX, you're talking about scientists, nutritionists. These are people that study, doctors, that study this stuff for a living. They will do metabolic testing for you, which will most likely be covered by your health insurance. You could certainly use FSA or HSA payments. I was talking to Jake. He said most health insurances in Ohio do cover it. So go to menu-rx.com. If you want help losing weight, getting in better shape, just looking for the right food for your body, they will find out what works specifically for you. We're all different. We all have different foods that work well with our body. Find out for yourself. Menu-rx.com. Sign up now and you'll get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, a $60 value, absolutely free. That's menu-rx.com. So yesterday, I was ranting and raving about
What's new?
about the Guardians and the fact that their lineup is just pitiful and they can't.
Dude, I can't watch them.
But
Yeah,
before you
yeah.
continue, I want to mention something.
Yeah,
They tweeted out their lineup yesterday.
yeah,
You then quote tweeted the Guardians lineup
yeah,
and was like, bad lineups, cringe at this.
yeah,
And then Nick Wilson.
yeah.
Who, I like Nick. Nick and I, at least
Yeah, I'm gonna
online,
see Nick
online
at the-
friends.
Oh, I was
you
going to say
guys-
we'll see Nick at the wedding, but he's not going to be at the wedding.
You guys know Nick better than I do. He tweeted
Yeah.
back at you and said, like, "Whoa, this is the best lineup they put out in 3 weeks." And they got 3 hits.
I don't know if he was joking.
I don't know either, but it was.
I did see that. I didn't get a chance to
He
respond.
did
I
put
don't
the
know.
laughing emoji in there, so I'm going to assume it's a joke. It may have
Maybe.
been
I
sarcastic.
think he might have been sarcastic.
Well, either way,
there's no such-
sarcasm or not to tweet that out,
yeah.
and then they get 3 hit. It's just
Yeah.
it's a bad look.
Yeah, no, but it's
And we
fine.
like Nick.
Their lineup sucks. Their lineup's terrible. They don't play Kyle Manzardo anymore.
Yeah, I
know
wanted to
he's
ask about that.
slumping. He's still been their 3rd or 4th best player this year. I mean, I don't understand. The guy's been on the bench like 6 of the last 8 games.
I don't think he's playing today either.
Oh, the lineup's already out. Oh, yeah, they're playing a day game.
Yeah, I was looking earlier and I saw someone.
I don't know
tweet that
what
he's
they're
out today.
doing. I don't remember who's pitching for Cincinnati today.
David Fry is DHing today.
Yeah, no Manzardo again today.
Who is pitching for Cincinnati? Somebody remind me because I don't recall who's pitching for them.
I'll tell you right
Is
now.
it a righty or a lefty? Oh, Lodolo's a righty, I think. Isn't he? Double check that. I can't remember for sure.
Well, either way,
Yeah.
Manzardo. Here's their lineup for today.
Yeah.
It's an afternoon game. Lane Thomas leading off. David Fry DHing, batting second. Jose
So
third.
Kwan's not playing either.
Kwan's off today. Santana fourth. Arias fifth. Nolan Jones in left. Jonathan Rodriguez in right. Dom Nunez and Angel Martinez.
Oh, Lodolo is a lefty. Okay, my bad. Wow, that's an even worse lineup. I guess the Guardians have just decided Kyle Manzardo, who for the most part has been their 3rd or 4th best hitter this year, and their 2nd best power hitter, can't play against lefties anymore, even though he was killing lefties earlier in the season, because they got to play Angel Martinez, who hasn't done a thing in a month, Dom Nunez, who's a journeyman, Jonathan Rodriguez, will become a journeyman, Nolan Jones, who can't hit this year, Gabriel Arias, who's done nothing for a month, the mediocre Carlos Santana, and Lane Thomas, who's batting $110. So, congratulations. I mean, we broke the record again. They said yesterday was the worst lineup I've seen all year. Now they beat it.
Can you show it one more time, please?
I mean, that is hideous. That's like a AAA lineup outside of Jose. It's terrible.
I've never even heard of Dom Nunez.
They just called him up when Hedges went on the IL. He had been the backup catcher for the Colorado Rockies for a little while, and he's bounced through. He's probably like 30 years old, something like that.
All right, who's Jonathan Rodriguez?
They just called him up
for Noel.
He's been around.
I've heard of
for
everybody else. I mean, they're not great.
The lineup is atrocious.
And why is Quan out again? The lineup?
They probably just wanted to give him a
random
random day off. No.
Well,
they probably just wanted to.
He hasn't had a hit in 3 games.
But 3 games, which is. It's odd for him.
I assume he's going to get a hit every game. The guy's one of the best hitters in baseball.
I mean,
singles guys, punch and Judy.
I can't even. We see other teams calling up their better prospects every day. Some other prospect gets called up. The Brewers, another smaller market team, they're calling up their best pitching prospect tomorrow to make a start. We see this. We see like all these teams. The Royals just called up their first-round pick from 2024, Caglione. They called him up about a week ago.
He's been good so far, too.
Well, I mean, it would be exciting if we knew Bazzano wasn't freaking banged up.
Yeah, but right. But, I mean, bring up the standings again, Anthony. You know, after they lose again yesterday, they're only 2 games over 500 now. They're almost as close to the White Sox as they are to the Tigers at this point.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
I know Andrew Abbott, his numbers this year have been very good.
Yeah.
I don't know
He's good.
His numbers this year have been terrific.
Lodolo's really good. I don't know why I forgot he was a lefty. But
is Abbott a guy, like when you go into a game against the Reds and Abbott's on the mound, you're like, ugh.
No.
It's going to be a war.
Their
like
best pitcher is Hunter Green, and he's hurt right now. So Lodolo's a very good pitcher. Abbott's a good pitcher. They're nice, but they're not like special, or at least they haven't been. Kyle Manzardo should be playing almost every day. I don't understand what we're doing here. I don't understand why DeLauters doesn't get an opportunity. I don't understand why Kefis has an opportunity. You have a handful of guys batting 200 or lower with no power production, no on-base production. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here. I felt like I would have been very surprised if the Guardians completely fell out of it. But the way they're playing right now, the pitching's been up and down, the starting rotation. It's been more good than bad.
Yesterday.
Yeah, Ciccone pitched really well yesterday. But the lineup is just so horrendous right now that unless they pitch great, and yesterday they pitched great and still lost, I mean, you shouldn't be getting shut out 1-0 by the Reds. I know it's 1 game, but that's terribly embarrassing. And I don't know what to say because it feels hopeless because the Guardians, I was screaming for weeks to call up Kefis, and somebody I know spoke to somebody in the Guardians front office and basically said that's not happening. So they were playing. They have a glut of first basemen and DHs, right? And so they moved Kefis to right field. Initially, I think to think they could call him up and put him in right field because they get 0 production out of right field. And about a week ago, when they were thinking about sending John Kenzie down, they said, somebody from the front office said to the person I know, was like, yeah, he's not ready to play the outfield. He's not good enough in the outfield. And I'm thinking, who gives a crap? They had John Kenzie Noel playing the outfield. Now, he's not bad. He looks bad out there because he's such a big guy. So
he actually moves pretty well.
But he's fine as an outfielder, but he's not.
He's not an elite defensive.
I don't care if C.J. Kefis, if there's a chance C.J. Kefis can hit.
Bring him up.
And maybe he comes up in like every other hitting prospect. He sucks too. But he's one of their best hitting prospects. He was killing it in AA. They called him up to AAA. He was killing it in AAA. Why would you not give him a shot? I don't care if he makes a couple errors in right field, which he probably wouldn't. He'd be fine. You need to see if you have somebody that can produce. They have so many zeros in their lineup. It's crazy. And so they seem content to just play mediocre baseball. The Guardians are unwatchable right now. You said it. I mean,
it's tough,
if you're a casual fan, and we have a lot of casual baseball fans, we have a lot of them here.
I'm a casual fan who watches and will, put a couple bucks on the Guardians.
Yeah.
I haven't won $1 this year.
No.
I mean, I just picked bad times because when they're stuck in these ruts, it's like then I'm betting on them. It's like it's frustrating. That makes me even not hate them, but like be more frustrated with them.
So last year they won a ton of games,
and
they got off to that hot start, and everyone buys in. And when you win, you just overlook a lot of things that frustrate you. Lack of power.
Yeah, look over the flaws. Well, then they hit for more power last year. They were middle of the pack.
But I'm just saying, like when you're winning, you overlook a lot. And then in this last 3-week stretch, 12-ish, 15 games where they played the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Tigers. Like, this was a gauntlet of a stretch, and they still are right around 500. I know this is the upcoming schedule, but if we were to go back and look at the previous schedule, like, they played a lot of really good teams. They didn't completely sink.
No, they won that series with Detroit.
They won the first 3. I think they were 8-8 through that 16-game stretch. They've lost 2 in a row now, so maybe it's 8-10, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's not like you want to just bury them completely, but it's also, where's the hope? And to me, that's the frustrating part.
Right.
I look at how they're playing, and they could win games. I just don't know if they could win at the levels I want them to win. And if you're not going to be able to win playoff series, World Series, like, be fun. It's bad to be mediocre and boring.
Yeah.
That's like the worst.
Well, mediocre's the worst, too, because at least if you stink, maybe you make some trades, you find some good players. Who knows? They're not going to make any aggressive trades. Like the American League, outside of the Tigers and Yankees, everybody, and the bottom, a couple teams on the bottom, everybody is mediocre. So the Guardians are not going to go out there and make some big blockbuster trade because they're not good enough. Even if they were good enough, they wouldn't. To say it's not good enough is giving them an excuse. They have not pulled the trigger on a significant in-season trade in a decade. So there's no reason to believe they would do it now.
Have they made a big trade since Andrew Miller?
No. They made that year. They were extremely aggressive at the trade deadline. It paid off. They tried
to get that other catcher, but it fell through.
Jonathan Lucroy. They traded for Brandon Geyer.
Sean Murphy was a deal that didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Yeah. So, and then the following year, of course, they signed Edwin Encarnacion. By the way, Zach Meisel told me his little son, who I think is 3, does that. Yeah, which I don't know how he knows that. He's only 3.
I love it when somebody comes up to me who used to listen, they still listen, but they used to listen when we were on the show together, and we have all these little
things,
like inside things.
Oh, yeah, that they still remember to this day, of course.
People still call me Duffy.
Who called you? Was that Shaq?
Do you know that story?
No, it was Don King.
Don King was on with us. We actually pre-taped the interview.
This is like first year we were on the air, 2011.
And Don King comes on and goes, "Thank you for having me, Adam and Duffy." And then he just called him Duffy the whole interview. You weren't going to correct Don King.
Don King. He knows people that,
you don't want to
make people disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Duffy. What's so funny is, before I moved to Cleveland, I'm sure nobody had heard of me in Cleveland ever before I came here.
No, now you're a local celebrity, man.
No. What I'm saying is people knew you before you started on the radio.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, you played football for Ohio State. You played in the NFL. And yet people screwed up your name way more than they screwed up mine,
100%.
Which made no sense, and still do. People call you
Duffy.
sometimes Derek, that's your brother's name. Justin.
A lot of Justin.
That's so strange.
I'm at the point now where I really don't even correct people.
If they call you Justin?
No.
You just, whatever.
They tried.
Yeah, good effort.
They are close.
Yeah.
One letter.
One letter. You'd think that Dustin was not a common name, which it is. I guess Justin is a little more common. But
for people my age, it was very popular in the 80s because Dustin Hoffman. And a lot of people,
right.
My parents named me not after him, because of what he was. It was just they liked the name.
Yeah.
And he was popular.
So I don't know how we got there from the Guardians.
Because I was talking about Edwin Encarnacion.
Oh,
Duffy.
yeah, Edwin Encarnacion.
We took five turns.
Yeah, so since they signed Edwin Encarnacion in the winter of 16-17, they have basically done nothing. Mm-hmm. They have been ultra conservative, and it has showed. And the team at times has overcome the conservative nature of ownership and the front office. When they have spent money during those years, it's mostly been wasted. They wasted it on Paul Sewald this year. They wasted, Santana's been okay, but he's, not a game changer. He's not Josh Naylor. And so the level of frustration right now from Guardians fans is very high. I'm seeing a lot of frustration on social media. I know there's a percentage of the fan base that lives and dies with Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff. I think they've lost a lot of their stature. I know they're well respected in the sport. I have respect for them. I think overall in their tenure, they've done a good job, but I don't believe they've done a good job the last couple of years. And I went over it yesterday. They have not developed hitting in this organization. It is a massive failure, and there's no debating it. I'll talk. Chris Anthony, come on right now. I argue that they have not failed to develop hitters because nobody can hit. Nobody. We went through draft picks from 3 years ago. Their top 10 list, they're all busts, or at this point, at best, disappointments outside of Gavin Williams. That's it. 9 out of 10 guys. And maybe part of that was the list was wrong. Maybe Chris Antonetti's personal list was different than what MLB.com put up. I don't know, but it's not like a lot of guys from this organization have panned out. And some of the few that have are playing for other teams because they moved on from the wrong guys. And so the frustration is through the roof. In terms of what your hope is, there's very little. I mean, I guess Chase DeLauder, we'll hope to see him at some point. But I have no faith they're going to call him up at all. They love to sit these guys in the minors next year. Like, when is it going to happen? Jose's getting old. How many top years? I mean, it's amazing the year he's having with no freaking protection in the lineup.
He's been incredible. His OPS is in the 9s. Like, he's been incredible
Yeah,
this
and they
season.
should I know Jay doesn't like it because he's stuck in his old school ways. He should be batting second, and that's it. You might as well put him and Quan back-to-back because nobody else on the team can hit. So it's not the worst lineup in baseball, but it's up there. And
if you take Jose out of it, is it the worst lineup in baseball?
it's a good question. Probably.
Worse
Now,
than the Rockies?
Huh?
Worse than the Rockies this year?
Without Jose? Yeah. I mean, the Rockies have 2 hitters that are like borderline all-stars. The rest of their lineup sucks, but they have 2 hitters that are borderline all-stars. With Jose, they're better than the Rockies. They're better than the White Sox. Probably better than the Pirates. I don't know what the numbers say. I just know they have one of the worst lineups. Without Jose, it would probably be the worst lineup, or certainly right there in the conversation. And we could be in a situation where they end up being sellers. And if they're not a legit contender, they should trade Emmanuel Clase because they can get a lot in return.
What does it look like?
But it'll just be more prospects that they won't call up, so that's frustrating.
If you go from being an ALCS team on the precipice of making the World Series last year to becoming a seller at the next deadline, essentially some changes, but the big bones of the team are
No, the big bones are not the same because they let Josh Naylor go, and he was their second best player.
Okay,
that was a big loss.
I know Jimenez and Naylor, but for the most part, like, you still have 6 of the same 9 guys in the lineup.
I know, but those, Naylor's the second best guy, third best.
I'm just saying. I was asking what the.
But I think you're underselling how important that is. When you had at best a mediocre lineup and you give away your second best power hitter, that's a big loss.
So that makes what I was going to ask, I guess, even more prevalent. When you go from an ALCS team on the precipice of potentially making the World Series to then being a seller at the deadline, 10 months later?
Yeah.
How do you sell that to the fan base?
You can't. You have your diehards that are going to be there no matter what, that get mad at the casual fans, that put their nose up at the casual fans. And I could be in that group sometimes, but I'm not right now. And it's what the franchise ownership and the front office have failed the fan base. They have failed the fan base. The fan base has shown you that they will come out when the team is good. And I guarantee you, everybody says, well, the Indians only sold out all those games because the Browns weren't here. Well, the Browns were here some of that time. The winning streak, the attendance streak was longer than the Browns were out of football. So it's not just about that. I know some of it was the new stadium and some of it was that. But it also will tell you, if you put a consistently good team on the field year after year after year, they will come. And if the Guardians actually it's amazing because the only reason they don't have the worst lineup in baseball is because Jose Ramirez
took a discount.
A discount is an understatement. He could have made $100 million more easy on the free agent market. I have never seen a player in his prime take except for guys who are pre-arbitrary, like a guy close to free agency in the prime of his career take a bigger discount in any sport than Jose Ramirez took. He was just like, crazy. I love it here. I want to stay. 100, whatever.
He's the only athlete of all time that actually agreed with you on like how much money do you really need to be.
That's what it. He was like, it's enough. I'm set for life. Yeah. My family's set for life. No other player would have done that
in any sport.
In any sport, and they have done nothing to back that up.
Poor guy.
Nothing. If he had said, "Hey, you got to pay me $250 million. That's what I'm worth," he would have walked, and they'd be even worse right now.
What do you end up getting?
Or they would have traded him for more prospects that they wouldn't have played or would have been bust.
Significantly less than that.
What did he end up getting? What was
I don't
his contract?
remember. You could go look at Baseball Reference. It's
7 years, $141 million.
His contract was 141.
Yeah.
For how many years?
7.
Jeez,
7 years.
That's it?
It should be 7 years for 250.
And what year was that? Did he sign that?
22.
This is the 2022 to 2020.
We were here.
And wasn't he? What was it? 2 years till he became a free agent, I think.
Yeah, they paid him early,
Yeah,
which some guys. I mean, getting that 140 early as opposed to what if you get hurt?
Right, but usually the only guys that take those big discounts are guys that have like 5 years till free agency, or 6, or even 4. He only had 2. If he had been a free agent either this past year or the year before, I can't remember now which it would have been in, he would have gotten over $200 million. Easy.
He probably could have gotten more from the Guardians like when he did the deal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Juan Soto just got paid what?
$765.
Now Juan Soto's younger than Jose would have been. I don't know that Juan Soto's a better player than Jose Ramirez. Does he have more power? A little more power. Is he a better all-around player than Jose Ramirez? If he is, it's not by a lot.
I don't know that he's better overall.
Soto stinks in the field. Jose's a much better base runner.
I think that Soto's a bigger power hitter, and you can tell me what you think.
He's a sexier name.
And he's more of an intimidating guy at the plate than Jose. But
he's more inconsistent. Jose's usually pretty solid. Right. Now, again, is there a $600 million difference between those two guys? No chance.
They're both top 10 guys.
I promise you that Soto's with who now? The Mets? Yeah. So I promise you the Mets would rather have Ramirez on the 141.
100%. No doubt. If the Mets could right now take Juan Soto on his contract, Jose Ramirez on his, they'd take Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, and in fact, they'd probably take Ramirez at double what he's making now.
And you still, right?
He'd still be
$300 million. He'd still be like less than half of Juan Soto. Yeah, exactly. Now, how old is Juan Soto?
25, 26.
No, is he that young?
Yeah, that's why he got such a...
Yeah, that was a big part
very
of
young.
It. That was a big part of it, but is he 25 still? No.
He's 26.
Wow. And Jose's 32. So there is obviously an age difference. But Juan Soto's already terrible in the field. And he's not a base runner. Again, he's got more good years left than Jose, but still, for the next 3-4 years, they'll be close, probably. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, guys, we're going to head back to football here after a quick word from Skylight Frames. Say goodbye to sticky notes and scribbled plans on the fridge and overlapping calendar invites. The Skylight calendar is here to bring clarity to the chaos and help families stay organized without the stress. This sleek digital display syncs with your existing calendars, Google, Apple, Outlook, and so much more, making it simple to track appointments, practices, dinners, and reminders all in one easy-to-see place. What would it be like to eliminate the I don't know excuse from your family routine, and how often do plans get messed up because they're buried in a digital calendar and not written down anywhere at all? Well, right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to skylightcal.com/NFL. If you go to skylightcal.com/NFL for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That is skylightcal.com/NFL.
All right, Anthony, where are we going next?
All right, guys, so we've had some broader conversations in the first hour, and I kind of want to get a little bit more into the details of everything and take a look at the wide receiver room. Behind Jerry Jeudy, how worried are we about the depth in the wide receiver room? Because Cedric Tillman still isn't practicing as of yesterday.
Yeah, to me, that doesn't really matter. It's June. It doesn't matter that he's not practicing. We talked about Deontae Johnson before, but those are going to be the two guys that have the opportunity is Deontae Johnson, who has got to get the off the field and in the locker room stuff behind him, and Cedric Tillman, who was hurt the second half of last year and is obviously hurt right now, but should be good to go for camp. Those are the two guys that need to step it up, if you will. I think they will be the number 2 and number 3 receivers probably.
I think Tillman's got a chance to, especially if Flacco's the quarterback, like he'll get the ball to Tillman. I mean, he's a big-bodied guy. I don't think he's ever going to be like an elite receiver, but I think he's got a chance to be top 3 here in Cleveland and get a lot of targets. You know what I mean? And earn him, more playing time and obviously maybe a contract at some point. But to this point, he hasn't really done a whole lot. He's been banged up, had the concussion last year. Like there's just a lot of stuff that have hampered his ability to stay on the field.
Outside of Jerry Jeudy, there's nothing proven whatsoever in that receiver. I mean, you can say Deontae Johnson in the past, sure, but after last year, that's not a given by any means that he's going to be mentally locked in enough to be the productive receiver the Browns kind of need him to be. So when the question is how concerned are you about the lack of depth, it is concerning. You have a couple of young quarterbacks, particularly 2 rookies, trying to establish themselves. And as an organization, you have to make a determination. Can either Shedeur, Dillon, Pickett be our long-term answer, or else you're probably drafting one high in next year's class. And with Jerry Jeudy being your only proven receiver, and even saying he's proven, maybe stretching the length of the word proven, because he had one really good year. And outside of that, he hadn't been that productive as a former first-round pick. The other names that we could mention, Michael Woods, Jamari Thrash, David Bell, DeAndre Carter, who they signed, like a bunch of guys who are completely unproven too. So it's going to give Tillman an opportunity to make plays. He had that great 3-game stretch with Jameis before the concussion. Didn't come back, if you remember, earlier in the season. He dropped the pass from Deshaun Watson that was placed right between the 1 and the 9 on his chest. That would have extended the fourth quarter drive against the Giants. They ended up losing that game. So he's not a proven commodity. We don't know what Deontay Johnson is. We'll see how Jerry Jeudy acts in his second year being the number 1, all eyes are on you kind of threat. There is no depth behind him. Nothing proven at minimum. And then it's a chance for some young guys to see if they can become a counted-on option in this offense. That's why I think Fannin and Njoku are going to be so vital in this passing game, because I just have, frankly, more faith in them than I do in a lot of the names at receiver I just mentioned.
By the way, Zach Jackson just said that Dillon Gabriel is with the ones again, and right now it's 7-on-7 on 2 fields. Flacco with the starters and Gabriel with the backups. Day 2 of minicamp. So, yeah, I mean, I think we know the deal. We just talked about it already. It's an opportunity. That's how guys have to look at it. It's an opportunity for Deontay Johnson to put his career back on track, and it's an opportunity for Cedric Tillman to establish himself as a legitimate starting wide receiver. Any of the other wide receivers, to me, have no chance of success or almost no chance of success. Those guys you mentioned, they're all afterthoughts. They're late-round picks or guys who have done nothing in 2 or 3 years, so I have no reason to believe. I thought Cedric Tillman showed some real progress before he got hurt when he was playing with Jameis there briefly last year, and then he got hurt, and then that was that. So
he didn't come back from the concussion.
Right. Yeah. Which is
genuinely did not come back from the concussion.
Right. I know. So to be out that long with a concussion is obviously pretty scary. So, what's his injury now that he's dealing with? I don't even remember.
It's a lower extremity. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll find out.
But it's not. He's supposed to be ready for training camp, I think. Right.
He may practice today.
Good. Yeah.
It does not, from all indications, not as serious to just be precautionary.
So
no need to.
That's not really a big deal. But I mean, he's a big guy, and there's talent there, right? And it looks, they wasted that 3rd-round pick on Schwartz, then they wasted a 3rd-round pick on David Bell. Hopefully, this 3rd-round wide receiver pick,
Gabriel might be a wasted pick.
Oh, really? Wow.
I mean, I'd be surprised if this guy ever ends up being a starting quarterback in this league.
I don't know why I'm surprised by that. I don't ever expect him to be a starter in the league. Isn't it funny that, and maybe it's just because of the name and the hype, but I expect Shedeur Sanders at some point to be a starter in the NFL, but I don't expect Dillon Gabriel to. I
asked Zach. I said, so right now, if I were to ask you, like getting Shedeur in the 5th round, is that a steal? Oh yeah, absolutely. He should have been drafted higher.
Right.
Like clearly the guy can play. Which is exciting.
We all feel that. I mean, he was ranked, however you want to look.
He definitely fell.
It wasn't for on the field stuff.
He fell further than he had to, because it was like every other team had the same disease. They were all taking in the same poison, which is this guy's toxic. We want to stay away.
Yeah. And
then finally the Browns are like, you get to the point where like
this is ridiculous.
This guy can play football. Like we saw him play.
I think he may have fell out of the first round because teams didn't
He
think
should not have
elite,
been drafted lower than the third round.
But
Absolutely.
beyond that, he fell just because of nonsense.
Yeah, I think second round was probably where he probably should have gone.
Right. Yeah, it feels like if he was just Larry Anderson, random guy, he would have been drafted between 20 and 40.
Yeah.
And instead,
Yeah, I think he would have been what's his face, the kid from like Ole Miss who got drafted.
Jackson
Yeah,
Dart.
he'd probably been drafted around that.
right. And instead, once you felt like he wasn't necessarily a first round talent, it led to teams being like, nah, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it.
And then, by the way,
Yeah.
these teams watch TV too. That's all they talked about for the rest of the draft was this guy falling,
Yeah.
and then like, who wants to really take on that drama? Because you're thinking, wait, do these other teams know something that we don't know? And
Right.
the Browns, I think, obviously, were like, yeah, this is bullshit. This guy can play.
Yeah.
Fifth round, like this is a joke.
Yeah. I can't imagine there's many people that think Dillon Gabriel's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't care where they were drafted. If the Browns are the one team that thinks that, then I'm going to suspect it's not true. They don't know what
listen,
they're doing.
They've been on every quarterback evaluation for
Yeah,
30 years.
right.
I never root against anybody.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if Dillon Gabriel's ever a legitimate starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I'd be surprised. I just don't think.
Well, then it is a wasted pick because you took him in the top 100.
Yeah, but potentially,
Yeah.
may get away with it because of Shedeur.
Right, sure.
It's like with the 49ers when they drafted Trey Lance early, traded up to get him, and then took Brock.
yeah, but the
Purdy.
Niners
Yeah.
get
The Skins had one overall or two overall,
Two
with,
overall.
with Griffin,
Because
and
Luck
then
was
and
hurt.
then
And then
Cousins
took
was
Kirk
fourth
Cousins.
round.
Yeah.
which was weird at the time.
It was weird at the time.
And obviously Cousins ended up having his most success in Minnesota, but still, I mean, it's just strange. But it always comes back to the quarterback because until the Browns have a quarterback, they got nothing.
Do you think it's worth even just getting a look in camp at some other options at receiver? I don't have a list of the guys still available out there, but is it worth bringing in just some bodies to help evaluate what you have in Gabriel and Sanders?
I think if they were going to do that, they would have done it already, don't you think?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, what's going on with Keenan Allen?
He was the name that I keep thinking of.
Yeah, I wonder why maybe he's not going to play
39
anymore.
years old.
He still was good last
He was
year.
good last year.
He was hurt.
Or
but,
productive,
he was
but
productive when he played. I don't know. If you're Keenan Allen, are you going to play one more year for the Browns?
Depends on how much.
Great point.
I'm just saying.
Is it about the money at this point for Keenan Allen?
Probably not. But I'm just saying that in terms of from a Brown standpoint,
Yeah.
if you're trying to truly evaluate and make a decision on can Shedeur, can Dillon, or can Kenny be our long-term quarterback,
Yeah.
I want to give them the best chance to succeed.
Yeah.
And I do think Keenan Allen, and I'll use him as the example, like he's an upgrade over some of the guys they have, even if it's just in camp to get a better
Yeah.
evaluation.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
just
if
from
I'm
practice.
If I'm
Keenan
Keenan
Allen,
Allen, I'd rather, if I'm going to go to this division, I'd rather
Yeah.
be in Pittsburgh.
If I'm Keenan Allen, I'm calling up Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati,
Philadelphia.
Philly. I'm calling a team with a top quarterback, and I'm like,
Yeah. Well, he's never
I'll
won
play
either.
for minimal money. Let's go. I want to have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
Can you imagine Keenan Allen as the slot receiver with Chase and Higgins? Imagine him with Patrick Mahomes
Tyler
what's
or
his name?
Baltimore with Lamar.
What's the GM for Tampa?
Jason
Light. Call Jason Light and be like, hey, I'm available.
You got
Because,
two other old receivers there. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bring him a
Drafted
third.
a
I mean, Baker spreads the ball around.
Yeah.
As well as anybody.
I wouldn't hate it, is all I'm saying. If
Yeah.
the Browns brought in one more guy just to give.
Well, we get it, but
We agree. We'd love
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but we
I
just
don't think he
it's
would come here.
reasonable.
Yeah, I'm with y'all.
What about a reunion with Amari Cooper? He's still a free agent.
no, Amari Cooper
No.
didn't end well here, as it has, unfortunately, for a lot of players.
I heard some stuff behind the scenes that didn't end well either.
Amari?
Yeah, it was Amari.
On his end or the Browns' end? Was there fault on both sides?
I think it goes back to when
Depends
they
on how
didn't
you want to
extend
look at
him.
it. Yeah, it all stemmed from
Yeah,
that.
he was pissed about it. They paid all that money to Jerry Jeudy, who had not accomplished a thing, and here's Cooper,
And they made the right
back-to-back
call.
good seasons. Huh?
Turned out to be the right call.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper is probably washed at this point. I don't know if
Is he on a team right now?
No.
Yeah.
No, the top three right now are listed: Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and Gabe Davis.
I think Davis just signed with somebody.
Yeah, Davis signed
This
with
might
somebody.
not be super updated.
Davis signed with.
I don't remember. The Titans? I don't know. I thought he did sign with somebody as well. All right, let's leave it there. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right, guys, before we move on, I want to remind
Saints.
everybody that the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with the same-game parlay? And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. You just have to head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If that bet wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Speaking of the NBA, reports from Sacramento that they're interested in Darius Garland as their point guard.
Darius and Trey were the two names that came out of
So
this
what's a trade? Is there a trade that works with Sacramento?
Yeah, you can find
Tomato?
Yeah, you could find finagle. There's a couple of different moves involving different pieces in Sacramento if you wanted to.
When did
make it
this
work.
rumor come out? Was this before we heard he had surgery?
I saw it yesterday online.
I mean, I guess if you're the Kings, you maybe don't care that he had surgery because that's more of a long-term thing.
Yeah. If you're looking at Darius Garland from a team like Sacramento, or potentially like a Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Him
a
missing-
team that's playing for the future.
Exactly. They're trying to establish we want a point guard for the future. They traded De'Aaron Fox.
Right.
They ran it back with Zach LaVine and Malik Monk and DeMar DeRozan. They played such an ISO-heavy style of basketball last year. I think that whole organization is like, yeah, that didn't really work how we thought it would.
I mean,
let's strip it down and try and
anything
get
ever
it back.
worked for the Sacramento Kings?
They had that one good year.
With Vlade?
Well, I was saying more recently.
More recently, yeah.
But they had when
I was
they
saying when they went to the
They've had
Western
the
Conference
three
Finals in,
Right.
like, what was that, 2006?
They've had a couple
earlier.
of sporadic years, but for the most part, they've been the Browns of the NBA.
they've been terrible. Yeah, terrible. And they're usually a team that if you're doing a deal with,
Yeah, you ripped them off.
you want to be in business with the Kings
Oh, yeah, 'cause
because
they
they've
always
made
make
some terrible trades.
terrible.
But I was looking at the roster yesterday and
Yeah.
I don't like the pieces they have. Like I put together, this was the best trade proposal I could
you
put
got
together.
something here?
I don't like it, but it was like the best I thought he could put up. It was Darius Garland for Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, and Devin Carter. Carter was their lottery pick, 13th overall last year. He's an
Don't
older
they get
guy.
it wrong in the draft just about every year?
He was hurt basically his whole rookie
Yeah.
season. I liked him coming out. He's a bigger athletic guard, but he's older. He played 5 years of college. Keegan Murray was the 4th pick a couple years ago. He's been solid. Malik Monk's a good 6-man.
I've heard of
But-
Malik Monk, but I don't know anything about those players.
Like,
it's 3 players. I like the idea of getting 3 for 1 because the Cavs have only like 4 playable and playoff.
you don't know if
players,
any of those guys are playoff guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have no idea.
So give me the.
Malik, bless you. Malik Monk, bless you. Malik Monk's a prototypical 6-man. Can get hot off the bench, can score, much more of a scorer than a facilitator. Keegan Murray was the 4th overall pick a couple of years ago. He was taken 1 pick before Jaden Ivey. He's a bigger 3-and-D kind of wing. Pretty good offensive player, not much of a defensive player. Then Devin Carter was their first-round pick last year. I think it was 13th, 12th overall.
So it's
like
2
that.
solid players and a 3rd guy you don't know yet.
You don't know yet. Yeah, and I just...
Dustin, do you know these players? I don't know anything about these guys.
Malik Monk, I know. Keegan Murray, I don't know a ton about. I mean, I've heard him.
I mean,
I've heard his name.
So what's wrong with this trade? Is this not enough?
I would just want way more. And with money situations, like you can't, they don't have contracts to get you more. Now, if you wanted to turn this into a set, I saw someone sent me a deal. And it was Garland, and Okoro, and Dean Wade for like half of the Kings roster.
Yeah.
Well, the Kings sucked last year. Do you really want half of the crappy Kings roster? Like
I'll
I don't.
take Sabonis.
Well, Sabonis
He's not
wasn't
going anywhere.
part of it, but like
I understand. I'm
but
saying
like
he's the only
like
player I care about.
that is, in my opinion, Sacramento's 4th, 5th, and 9th best guys. 5th, 6th, and 10th.
Is there any chance Devin Carter becomes a really good player?
He barely played. He missed almost the entire rookie season.
Who knows, man? Honestly, I would rather, hope that those guys turn into one of the 7 guys like the Pacers have. Maybe these guys could just, be those decent depth pieces because the Cavs need that. They need guys that can consistently, if one guy's not there one night, someone can pick up the slack. That's what the Pacers have done. Now, their luck may run out here. I think it probably is going to run out, but still, they're in the NBA Finals. They beat the Cavs.
And they made the conference finals last year,
They've beaten
too.
everybody. I mean, they've got a nice little thing going.
Yeah.
What is Malik Monk average? What did he average last year?
And you made the stat graphic. You want to pull it up?
13.7.
I think he probably scored more than that. 17 points last
wow.
year, yeah.
44%. Oh, that's field goal percentage.
They ran a lot. They played no defense as a team, so a lot of their numbers a little bit inflated. But
yeah.
I like Malik Monk. I like Keegan Murray, Devin Carter. I like them coming out of the draft. I don't really know, but
I mean, is there a chance that could turn out to be a good trade for the Cavs?
If Devin Carter turns out to be good, then yeah. But it's.
I feel so desperate right now just because I don't want to watch Darius Garland play for the Cavs anymore.
And I feel like you are.
And that's a bad attitude, I guess. But
you're trying to talk some of these things, and I hear, just like we talked about the Guardians earlier, the casual fan versus the people who are more like. I understand all the frustration. Everyone who's like, you got to trade Darius. I hear you. Like I understand where the frustration comes from. Yeah. But I'll die on this hill, and if I die alone on it, I'll die alone on it.
You'll die alone.
Making a trade just for the sake of making a trade, if it doesn't actually help you,
no, I get it.
Is not beneficial for the long term of the Cavs.
You guys keep telling me how good Darius Garland is, and then you keep saying there's no good trade for him.
I gave you some
deals
last week.
If he's that good, why can't I find a good trade for him? Well, you gave some trades that we liked last week. Like,
that one I don't.
But the problem is, like the trades you like the most, like that Jaden McDaniels trade. Well, Minnesota's not going to make that trade now because Darius is hurt.
Yeah, that's a.
So the only way you can trade, I think, the only teams that are going to still be interested in Darius right now are bad teams that are looking to kind of start over with him.
And they usually have
those teams don't have the players that
they
you
have
really
more
want.
draft picks and young guys.
Right, which that's not what you want.
I heard someone float out. I forget who I heard. Maybe it was Versillo.
Yeah.
A deal with the Nets where it was the 8th pick and Cam Johnson for Darius Garland. And
I know you like Cam Johnson.
I like Cam Johnson a lot, and the 8th pick in a pretty good draft, like that's a valuable asset. But it changes your whole timeline now, and you're taking an 8th pick.
I mean, is the 8th pick going to be a guy who can contribute right away at a high level? Probably not, right?
Rookies almost very rarely, like on any team, contribute at a high enough level.
You're expecting Cooper Flagg to do that, but it's one guy.
But this is considered a good draft.
Yeah.
Look at the teams deep in the playoffs. Like
they didn't use rookies.
None of them did.
Yeah.
The Thunder played A.J. Mitchell, who was their pick, for like 2 minutes in Game 1, got pulled, didn't play in Game 2. The Pacers don't have a rookie in their rotation.
Right.
It's the 3rd year for Nather and the 2nd year for Jarris Walker.
Yeah.
Knicks don't have a rookie in their rotation. The Timberwolves drafted Rob Dillingham 7th overall last year.
Yeah.
Didn't play. Like guys drafted there very, very rarely.
Yeah, you got to be a special player to contribute big time as a rookie.
So it just kind of like changes your timeline, and then you got to ask yourself: is Darius Garland or Cam Johnson like help them more right now? And, I mean, Darius is better than Cam Johnson. There's no doubt about it. Cam plays a more position that they may need a little more help at, but I don't think it's apples to apples.
When you compare players, I feel like we only talk about offense because Darius Garland is a really bad defender, is he not?
He's not good, yeah. It's not his strength by any means.
So is the offensive gap between Cam Johnson and Darius bigger than the defensive gap between the two?
One's a creator and one's not. That's what it comes to. At the end of the day, so when Minnesota lost to OKC, and bad job out of me as producer here to not play the soundbite. Do you remember what we did before the Cavs played OKC, and I played that Will Wade soundbite?
Yes.
And you guys, or Will Hardy, excuse me, and you guys were all like, Chris Finch said something fascinating when they lost to OKC. He was asked, what do you guys got to get more of? He's the head coach of the Timberwolves, by the way. What do you guys need to get more of to be able to beat a team like that? He's like, guys who can dribble. And he goes, we all talk about shooting, right? Everyone wants shooting. Shooting's great, but it doesn't matter if you don't have guys that can generate open shots for those shooters. And he was talking about guys like Jaden McDaniels, who we mentioned in trades. If he's wide open in the corner, he's going to make shots, but he's not a shot creator. So when you play a defense like OKC, you need guys, and Indiana, by the way, is OKC light in terms of how they play from a defensive style. They're not nearly as frantic, and they don't trap as much, but they pressure you. They're physical. They want you to play one-on-one. He's like, we need guys that can generate their own shot. Timberwolves had Anthony Edwards, who could do that. They had Julius Randle, who could do that. They had nobody else. And they struggled tremendously against OKC to get good looks for the guys who typically just space the floor and knock down their open shots. DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels, Mike Conley at 40 years old or 41, Buckeye legend.
Yeah.
Played in the 07-06 national championship.
Yeah.
Like, he's not beating Kason Wallace and Alex Caruso off the dribble anymore. So when we look at these teams that are having playoff success, even the Pacers, They got Halliburton, who can create. They got Nembhard, who can create. They got Siakam, who can create. Miles Turner, to an extent, can create.
So that gives them a shot.
Yes, and when you look at the Cavs, it's not, I can't trade Darius. I'm open to the right deal. But if you're going to move Darius, who, however you feel about Darius, he is a creator, right? We can agree he's a creator. He creates not just for himself, but for others. You have to get something back that allows you to keep that number of creators on the court at the same time. Cam Johnson, minimal creator. He's more of a catch-and-shoot kind of guy.
He's like DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, who they're like half creators. Jaden McDaniels, not a creator. So it's not that I'm not open to these discussions with Darius. You need something back that would replicate some of the playmaking you're losing.
Right now, here's two thoughts I have about the NBA that I'll share that I shouldn't.
I'm scared.
I'll share them anyway. Number one, the Cavs feel hopeless. They feel like they're in this space where they're a good team, not good enough, and they're never going to win.
No one's going to give them any credit next year until
I don't care what they do.
And it stinks.
And number two,
before you go number two, can I say something?
Yeah.
The Cavs got exposed by Indiana in a way. Had they beaten Indiana and had they beaten the Knicks and faced OKC in the finals, all the shortcomings we saw and how their offense worked against Indiana would have been extrapolated to the 50th percentile against OKC.
Right.
Cleveland at full strength, I hate to say this, I don't think it had any shot against this OKC team. And when we look at, are you going to rebuild, break up, whatever you do, it's not can we beat Indiana in the East. It's got to be can we beat OKC in the West.
And let's face it, if they had played Boston, and I know it didn't happen, they wouldn't have beaten Boston either. You know that. Let's be realistic about it. But number two, I know you guys love Evan Mobley, and I know he's a talented player, but he's never going to be that dog you want him to be, and you know that. Like, you know that.
I don't.
You know he's never going to be that dog you want him to be. He's never going to demand the ball that way. He's never going to become this elite player. He's not. He's going to be a very good player. He's going to be a third-team All-NBA. He's going to, fraudulently win Defensive Player of the Year, even though he makes no impact on defense in the playoffs. And he's going to be that guy. He's going to be a very good player. And fans are going to tell me I'm an idiot because I'm a casual basketball fan, and that's all true. But you know it. You know he's never become an elite player. Don't give me this Kevin Durant nonsense.
I never said Kevin Durant.
Dogs are dogs. He ain't a dog, and that's it. Number three, and this is really going to piss some people off. And people say this about baseball, and I don't get mad. If this is how you feel, this is how you feel. I am bored as shit by the NBA. Everybody plays the exact same way. There's no and I hate to be this guy, but forget the physicality of the 80s, which maybe we've overrated that. But at least in the 80s, there was different types of styles of play. Not everything was a freaking three. I'm so bored by the millions of three-point shots. I have not watched a minute. Not a minute.
Those two teams play, and this is why it's such a fun series.
Yeah.
They don't play like the rest of the NBA. Like both those two teams.
So they have two teams that play differently.
There are more than two, but those two
everybody
teams
relies on the three-point shot pretty much, outside of like Denver.
Go watch OKC play.
They shoot a lot of threes, no?
No, they don't.
Oh.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah, but there's no I like the days of let's feed it to the big man.
They don't post up, they don't do that.
Again, I'm in the minority. I'm not saying you have to change it for me. I don't care. I personally find it boring.
It's fair.
I find it boring. And let's face this too. There's no reason to watch an NBA game before the fourth quarter. There is no reason.
There's really no reason to watch it before the final 3 minutes.
You're probably right. Final 3 minutes.
In the regular season?
Yeah, especially in the regular season.
Those last 5 minutes, it's all that matters.
I mean, watching the dumbest thing, and we see this all the time in the NBA. I'm watching a game on ESPN or TNT. They do this especially on ESPN. It's horrible because their game coverage is just atrocious. But when there's a big run in the first quarter by a team, they go nuts as if it's meaningful. And it's never meaningful, or almost never meaningful.
India's 5 comebacks.
Yeah, I mean, they go crazy. Oh, what a game! Blah, blah, blah. It's the first quarter. Who gives a crap?
Well, do you want the broadcasters to be monotone through? I hear what you're saying.
I'm not saying they can't get excited, but don't pretend it's something that it's not.
I just don't know what do you want.
I don't know.
So
it's just
I hear what you're saying.
Sharing my honest thoughts. About the NBA. And again, people find baseball boring, and you have every right to. I can see, I find baseball exciting, but I understand why people find it boring. I'm not an idiot. I get it. I get why you would find baseball boring, and if you do, you do. That's, and that's why football's king, because nobody finds football boring. There's old school people like me that find basketball boring. There's newer school people that find baseball boring, and nobody finds football boring. Nobody.
Funny? Football's not boring because every
Yeah.
play it's a car crash. There's little physical contact. People love watching people get hit. Also, hockey. Do you watch hockey?
I've actually been watching some of the Stanley Cup finals.
I know Game 3 wasn't great. Games 1 and 2 were
1
incredible.
and 2 were
Yeah.
awesome. Did they both go to overtime? I watched Game 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They both
Game
were
2 was great.
And
The problem with hockey is, first of all, it's better now because
This
of high
Connor
def.
McDavid guy is awesome.
it's so good.
The
mean,
problem
this
with
guy's
hockey,
so
though,
good.
is it used to be it was terrible on TV.
'Cause you couldn't
Great
follow
if
the
you went
puck.
in person.
Yeah.
Terrible on TV. Now it's better because of 4K and even HD and whatever. But the problem, though, is if you don't know hockey well, and like when you're at the game, you could kind of see the puck movement as you're coming down the ice. If you're watching at home, you don't really see all the setting up. So it feels like they're just skating around doing nothing most of the time. Obviously they're not, but that's kind of how it feels on TV. Same thing with soccer, right? Like there's a lot of times in soccer, like hockey, where guys are kind of passing the ball to set something up, and you can see it a little more on TV with soccer because you see
It's
more
wider,
of the
it's a bigger
field.
camera angle, yeah.
But in hockey, it's such kind of tight on the guy with the puck that you kind of you don't feel the other guys kind of moving around, and I think that's the negative if you don't know the sport well. But I used to like watching hockey. I was never a big hockey fan, but when it was on ESPN back in the day, when I was single and all I did was watch sports, I would watch a lot of hockey, especially the playoffs.
I got to tell you, I've been such a fan of TNT Sports.
Yeah.
So they just had Roland Garros, which was the
Right,
first
yeah.
time they've had it. It was
Yeah.
with ESPN, or was I think NBC actually.
Yeah.
And then they've got the finals for the
hockey.
Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah.
They do such a better job than ESPN.
They just
So
do.
much
I
It's
mean,
a shame they lost the NBA.
it is a damn shame,
Yeah.
dude. Like I'm really frustrated by it. But I've actually enjoyed the TNT coverage of the hockey. I've actually, because I don't know much about hockey, but
either.
Right.
they got these studio shows because there's intermissions in hockey.
Yeah. Those guys are really good.
And they have to do it. They've really got to work hard because those guys are on, sometimes 3-4 times a game.
Yeah.
Because you got, they went to
Overtime.
overtime, and
Yeah,
then you got
yeah.
another 20-minute intermission. Excuse
And they
me.
got
Yeah.
some character. I mean, between
They do.
Gretzky and Biz and some of those guys they have up there
Yeah.
on the team. I'm not I can name 3 guys on the Oilers and maybe 4 guys on the Panthers, and that's it.
Yeah, I can name one guy in the game.
McDavid, Draisaitl,
And who's the good guy for Florida?
Kachuk and Marchand.
It feels like in hockey.
Marchand.
Marchand,
It feels like in hockey, the good players are around forever, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like 20 years.
Yeah, it's like all the best players are around.
Ovechkin's never going to
Ovechkin.
retire.
Yeah, I mean,
you-
Ovechkin just broke the scoring record.
Yeah,
this
I feel
year.
like he's 50. How old is he?
Let me look it up.
43, I think.
Is
And
he
he's
that
still
old?
really good,
think
right?
so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Good enough to be a legitimate starter,
Yeah, it's crazy.
all-star
only 39,
caliber guy.
actually.
Only
39?
39.
Well, I mean,
it does feel like
still.
he's been around forever, though.
You could tell me Mario Lemieux's still in the NHL, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, right.
I believe it's his 19th year in the NHL. Which
Yeah.
the toll that takes
Is
on your
Jaromir
body.
Jagr still in Pittsburgh?
I think.
And
I think
and
he
maybe
had
I'm
his
wrong
jersey
because obviously I don't follow hockey closely. It does seem that the best players don't spend as much time injured as in other sports. Like in baseball, you got guys go on the injured list every 2 seconds.
Hockey dudes are tough as you know what.
These
It's
guys.
very rare to have a prospect that doesn't pan out because
Yeah.
of injury.
But I'm just not that into hockey. But
Well, I would just say this
Yeah.
Stanley Cup final. If you're looking, if basketball bores you, Bull.
yeah,
Well, and these games have been on nights where there's no NBA.
No, they
Yeah.
purposely
Yeah, that's
staggered
smart.
it.
So it's
Right,
very
yeah.
smart.
We
yeah.
got Game 3 of the finals tonight. I would recommend watching it, Bull.
I'll
At least,
watch it.
at least tune in a little bit, and you'll see just the different stylistic
Right.
ways that Indiana,
Stanley Cup's 2-1 Florida, right?
and it's 1-1 in the NBA
And
finals
a Canadian team hasn't won in like 30 years.
forever. And last year, it's the same 2 teams that were in the Stanley Cup last year.
Oh, I didn't know
Since
that.
Florida-
91 or 92.
Florida was up
Canadian
3-0 in the finals last year. Edmonton came back, forced the Game 7.
Oh, wow. I didn't
And then
realize
Florida
that.
won Game 7.
Huh.
Edmonton won Game 1 in overtime. Florida won Game 2 in double overtime. Then they
And then-
beat the brakes off them in Game
Yeah.
3. All the pressure now back on Edmonton. They got the best player in the world in Connor McDavid.
Yeah, and he's young, right?
Youngish.
28.
Oh, I mean, that's
28.
young. For hockey, I feel
Yeah.
like that's pretty young.
But he is,
I looked it up last night.
I heard John Butchergross
job.
say, he is by far, hands down, unquestionably the best hockey player that
Yeah.
has never won a Stanley Cup.
This is the most we've talked hockey ever.
Well, I had a conversation the other day
Yeah.
on my podcast on Monday,
Yeah.
the tennis podcast, about are these tennis players like Sinner and Alcaraz, did they show the best true athleticism of any athlete in the world by playing 5.5 hours
Yeah.
with no clock? And no, I mean, there's no breaks, dude. I mean, and so we were talking about
Yeah.
that, and then he mentioned Connor McDavid as like one of the best athletes in the
Yeah,
world.
I mean, they are. I guess.
Yeah. But those guys get intermissions. You have teammates.
Yeah,
Like, there's
it's
just,
also like, how do you define athlete? Like,
Yeah.
what's the definition? Because nobody can tell me that there's a better athlete than LeBron James.
Yeah, I guess I'm
You know?
in terms of. I mean, you're talking about just a very skilled basketball player he's also a freak size wise.
Like, don't you feel like LeBron could have been great in almost any sport if he had focused on it?
Yes.
No.
You don't think so? You don't think he could have been great in other sports?
No, I don't think LeBron.
I mean, the body type
I don't
sports.
think he could. I don't think he'd be good at baseball. I don't think he'd be good at tennis. I don't think he'd be good at golf.
I bet you could have been good at football.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
It's
soccer
the same
goalie.
skill set as basketball.
Right. Yeah, it is fascinating. I don't know. I always look like, to me, the greatest athlete I've ever seen is either LeBron or Bo Jackson.
I always say, man, you want to see how good athletes these guys are.
Yeah.
I want to see their golf swing.
Well, Charles Barkley was a good athlete. He can't swing.
Correct. And
Why does a golf swing mean you're not a good
No,
athlete?
I think it's just like a measure of like be an athlete. If you're a great athlete, you should be able to
Be
swing
an
a golf
athlete,
club.
yeah.
Be an athlete. People say it all the time.
I'm not an athlete. I can't swing golf. I'm terrible.
I got a
can't
good
either.
swing.
That's
I just
tough,
don't practice enough.
What's next?
I started watching this show on Apple TV called
called
Swing?
It's great. I love it.
You like it?
I love it. Yes, I'm on the. Well, I'm caught up
I
because
stopped watching it, and I might go back, but I found the kid really annoying, so he was behaving like a douche.
Yeah, I love Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson's really good. That's why I watched it. So, all right.
Wow.
He picks up.
Wow,
He's so good.
he's so good. His nose, man. It just makes me think of Meet the Parents.
Yeah. Why? How did he, like, to have that jacked up nose like he does
And to be a
and
star,
become a movie
Hollywood star.
is crazy.
He's a great actor.
Usually, you can't have any flaws at all.
I think he plays himself.
That's the way it seems.
I mean, I truly think
how
that
it
that's
comes
who he
off.
is.
Yeah.
Although maybe we just think that. There's this guy. Did you ever watch the show? What was that show about fantasy football that was really
League.
popular? The League. Yeah, you guys see that?
Yeah.
There's one guy who's got like a gruffy black beard. He wears glasses. You know that guy?
It plays.
He's been in a bunch of things, and he always plays like
He
an
plays the
off-color
same-
guy.
yeah.
Right? And I saw this interview with him, and he's like, people think I'm that guy. So they come up to me in a bar, and they want to buy me shots. And he's like, I'm the guy reading a book in a bar with my glasses and elbow patches. Like, I'm not doing any of that. But he's so good in that role that people think he's
assumed.
that guy. And, so maybe Owen Wilson is that type of guy. I don't know. But
Who knows?
anyway, go ahead.
All right, Bull, we're going to do one more quick baseball topic.
No, let's blow it off, Anthony. You said you had another option.
I do have a top 5 for
Yeah,
us,
let's
but
do that. I can't talk about the Guardians
I
right now.
can't sit here and listen to you guys talk about the Guardians.
Yeah,
anymore.
we don't want to talk about the Guardians. They
that's
don't
fair.
deserve any further conversation. We've ripped them 2 days in a row, deservedly so. Let's go with your other possible.
Well, I got a
topic.
tennis top 5 for Dustin, but really quick, tell
yeah.
us about Menu RX.
Yeah, Menu RX. I love talking about Menu RX, unlike the Guardians, because Menu RX helps you. The Guardians hurt you. They make you feel sad and depressed. Menu RX makes you feel happy because they find the foods that work best for you, or they help you with a diet plan. They want you to get in better shape. And instead of working with a big box operation that has one plan that works for everybody, allegedly, we know it doesn't, or some crackpot on the internet telling you to eat steak every day, Menu RX has nutritionists, doctors, scientists, that this is all they do. They study. Dr. Jake May literally gets excited whenever I ask him questions about metabolism or weight loss or food, what food is good for you. Like, he gets generally excited to talk about these things and to help people. It's crazy, like over the top excited, because this is his life. This is what he studies, and it's just wild how much he cares about the people he works with. I love the guy, and you will too. One-on-one consultation. So go to menu-rx.com. Sign up now for any of their programs and get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, absolutely free. That's a $60 value for $0. And it might cost you $0 to have a plan, because most health insurance plans will cover it. Just check it out today. At worst, you waste 2 minutes of your life. Go to the website right now, menu-rx.com. All right, Anthony.
All right, guys, so last week when
Yeah.
I was on, we did kind of a stupid little fun top 5 about pizza to piss Bull off.
Yeah.
So I was putting together today's show, and I was like, all right.
Wait, by the way, before you get into this, that reminded me of something. I got my eye on a pizzeria in the area that I have not checked out yet. I will take opinions on it if you've been there. I believe it's in Bay Village. It's called Chatty's Pizza.
I've been.
What do you? Well, I like it. It looks good in the pictures.
It was solid.
Solid. Okay.
It wasn't my favorite, but it was.
You don't think
it
I'll
was
love
solid.
it?
I think you'll come back disappointed. Yes, because I don't.
It looks like a nice place. We don't want to.
It's it's a cool place. I would definitely check it out.
So it's good, but it's not going to knock my socks off. You're saying the pizza.
If you're in the mood for pizza,
yeah,
it's certainly going to sasatisfy that.
Is it brick oven or no? Is it super thin?
It was pretty thin.
Is it normal size slices or like little slices?
I went with a couple of friends and we split like 3 small pies. So they were.
By the way, one more story to sidebar.
This is last summer, though.
Before we get to the top 5 list, I saw this. I bet you everybody's seen it now. Have you guys seen this Instagram video where this woman and her husband had a vegan wedding, and the in-law, like her brother or something, ordered a bunch of pizzas?
No.
Because nobody wanted to eat the vegan food, and the sister was, so pissed because they curated this whole wedding with the vegan food because they're vegans and blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
but
the point is
you have to make everyone else be vegan.
I know. I went to a vegan wedding once at a Chinese restaurant.
That's really
it was the worst thing ever.
First off,
Vegan at a Chinese
it's
restaurant.
really rude by the people throwing the party.
I agree.
Selfish.
I agree. Yeah, it's completely selfish.
Like, I don't drink, but we're having an open bar.
Right, which is a challenge for you.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Right, but yeah,
it's actually not a challenge anymore. But,
okay, good, but
still, I'm not like, oh, you can't drink.
You weren't going to say you have a dry wedding.
No.
Right? You want to be fair to your guests.
Yes.
And so you're saying, okay.
My bride-to-be drinks. It's fine. Like,
exactly.
So it's not a big deal.
So, like to have a vegan wedding to me is selfish, even if you're vegan. But okay, whatever. Now, the brother probably shouldn't have ordered pizzas. That wasn't right. You don't spoil. At that point, even though it's selfish, you don't get involved. But what I was most offended by in this story is that the pizzas he ordered looked like absolute crap. Like it was probably like Domino's or Little Caesars.
And
yeah, and by the way, that'd have been great at the time for everyone who was trying to eat this. They were like, you know what? Vegan food or any kind of chain pizza.
That is why when
I guess I would. You're right. If I had to choose, I'd still eat that crappy pizza.
By the way, Domino's has been kind of fired lately, to be honest with you.
When you asked about Chatty's,
different
that
levels.
is why I can't give you like you're definitely going to like it because I don't know if it's not DeFara's in Brooklyn. Will anything live up to your
There's
standard?
pizzerias I like here. Certainly.
It was good.
There's a number of pizzerias I like here. It looks good, Chatty's. I'm going to give it a shot.
It's good.
I'm going to give it a shot.
Have you been to Luigi's yet?
Where's that?
In Akron?
No. I got to look it up.
Make a trip, dude.
All right, Anthony, hit us with the top 5. I'm going to look at Luigi's.
All right, anyway, so we were doing the fun top 5. I wanted to do a fun top 5, though, this week for Dustin.
Yeah.
So this is my top 5 reasons I gave up playing tennis after 2 weeks in high school.
Okay.
Doing tennis and gym class. Number 5, I don't have a backhand. I could not figure out how to backhand a tennis ball. I gave up pretty quick on it.
Were you a two-hander or one-hander?
I am a one-handed lefty.
Oh, that's why. The two-handed
Dillon
backhand is the
Gabriel effect?
easiest shot in tennis. But everyone wants to act like it's hard, and then they want to have this pretty one-handed backhand because of Federer and all these guys like Dimitrov, these beautiful one-hand. Dude, no. Just get a two-handed backhand. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so I got to work on my two-handed backhand. Thank you. Number 4, I keep hitting myself with the racket. I can't stop hitting myself.
Well, that's where I'd say be an athlete.
That is a very important part of being
Are you actually playing, Anthony?
2 of these were serious. The rest are more jokes, but
Was that one a serious
I did
one?
give tennis a shot in high school. Like I played for 2 weeks in our gym class, and then we never put it together a team. I gave up on it pretty quick.
Sounds like you were dedicated.
Oh yeah, I was a soccer player. I don't use my hands. I don't know what you want from
You
me.
were a goalie.
That's not what I heard.
Hey,
Hey-o.
I was a goalie, but I still was a better midfielder than I was a goalie. All right, number 3. Heard they offered pickles in the other version of the game.
Oh.
I didn't say these were good jokes. But I had
I'll
to
keep
put
my
together
commentary to myself.
Yeah, you set yourself up one.
About
you
that,
said
yeah,
so.
that was a little rough.
That quote-unquote sport.
Yeah.
Wait until you see number 1 in the Photoshop I made for number 1.
Can't wait.
All right, number 2. The dogs kept stealing all the tennis balls. Couldn't get them.
Yeah, I mean,
There were dogs in gym class?
great question.
This is why I miss having Polk on the show. He would at least laugh at my shit.
He would appreciate
Yeah, he would
Anthony's
appreciate how
cheesy
awful
humor.
this top 5 is. Yeah, 100%. And then number 1, I didn't really care for the attire. The skirt was a little too breezy for me for tennis.
Oh, that is so funny.
That's good. That's good.
Were you going commando?
Yeah, 100%.
Nobody needs to know
full
that.
free ball in it.
I mean, that's
a little too cold for me.
Free balling it?
My analysis on Luigi's in Akron based only on pictures. Pizza does not look like my type. The rest of their food looks very good, and the place is. I like that the place is an old school type of
100-year-old restaurant,
pizzeria
oldest restaurant in Akron.
I'd give it a shot, even though the pizza doesn't look like my style, only because the rest of their food looks really appealing.
Get it after the wedding.
Nah, I'll be stuffed probably. They're gonna have a lot of food.
The Swenson's food truck is coming at 9:45.
Yeah.
What a way to
That was a
nightcap
good
a wedding.
call.
That's a great call.
Yep.
Are they making to order?
Yeah.
What else would it be?
Milkshakes, fries, burgers.
I don't eat Swenson's very often, but I'll tell you what. For all the talk about fast food,
You do
I
like
would take Swenson's over any of the fast food
I don't
burgers.
consider it fast food.
It's definitely fast food.
It's fast food.
Yeah, but
It's
like,
a little higher class.
It's like a local chain, though. It's not like a. It's
Right.
not
Well,
like
it's not a
National brand.
national right,
Right.
but it's still fast food. It's
I don't know. I mean, you think Chipotle's fast food?
Yeah.
fast. Yeah.
I put it in the fast food category, even though I don't consider it fast food.
Wasn't there like a bunch of people that got sick from Chipotle again?
Again, yeah.
What is going on?
I don't know, man. I had bad Chipotle last time I had it.
I'm not
You
eating.
can't
I
get
was
the
always
lettuce at
team
Chipotle.
What's
Wait,
that?
You do not get the lettuce at Chipotle ever. It's always contaminated with something. That's how
Why
people
would you
get
just
sick.
not
It's
go to
always
Ohio
E.
City
coli.
Burrito? It's way better.
OCB.
I know there's not as many locations,
Because
but
I don't live in Cleveland.
yeah. But Ohio City Burrito, man.
No, it's great. Those
Good
burritos are
stuff.
big.
Yeah.
They do give you an incredible portion.
Ohio
for the
City
price.
Burrito?
Yes, incredible.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that I need to eat 2,500 calories in one burrito.
I'm not saying. I'm just.
You don't have to.
You don't need to, but
they'll
you
give
can.
you less
They-
if
they-
you want.
they do.
And
give
like,
you-
how about when some people do?
It's like a baby.
How about some people will go in there and they'll double wrap it?
Yeah, that's
I
crazy to
mean,
me.
I've never done that.
You do that,
No,
really?
weird people are the
have
ones
done that,
who
yeah.
get a Chipotle
That
bowl and then
the
ask
double
for the
wrap
tortilla.
is a
I
total.
mean, that's gluttonous.
Total fat man.
Yeah,
syndrome,
yeah, that's
dude.
a fat man
Totally.
I get the bowl.
But it stays together better.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, then maybe,
Put less in it.
or just dive into it when you get home.
Yeah.
And just knife and fork it.
All right, guys, we got one super chat.
Yeah, one
And before
super
we
chat.
read this one super chat, and shout out to people who gifted subs today, Buckeye State Credit Union. If you haven't heard of them, meet your new favorite financial partner. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts, home equity lines of credit, and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations in the state, making it super easy to find one near you. And if you can't get to a branch, no problem. They make it easy with simple digital banking. What sets them apart? They make banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. Their core values: connect, simply, adapt, guide everything that they do. They bring people together, they cut through the clutter, and they're innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified. Our one super chat today
Yes.
comes from Lance Kennedy. Isn't it better to play these good teams in the first 6 weeks compared to the final 6 weeks of the season?
In terms of the Browns, I'm assuming he's.
I'm
he's
assuming it's the
asking
Browns,
about?
yes.
What's the question again? I'm sorry.
Is it better to play the good teams in the first 6 weeks compared to the final 6 weeks?
I don't know. I mean, for the Browns, does it matter? They're not going to be that good this year, so.
I prefer getting your tougher games out earlier in the season as opposed to later.
Because in theory, you're healthier, but then your opponent is healthier. It depends. If you have a veteran quarterback, I mean.
I'm just saying, in general, I usually prefer the. Remember
I
we
like
did-
playing good teams early in the season.
Me
I
too.
agree with you. What did you feel as a player, Dustin? Did you care?
I always thought it was good to get off to a fast start. So regardless of who you played, like I'd much rather be 4-0 through September than 2-2 and play the good teams. Like I don't know. I'd rather build up the lead and then of course at the end you figure it out.
Zach Jackson tweeted, "Practice is over. Looked like Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders all got a turn in some sort of hurry-up drill. Nothing remarkable from any of them. Minicamp wraps tomorrow." And then that's that until training camp starts.
6 weeks off between, right? End of mini camp and start of training camp,
Roughly, yeah.
give or take. Can I ask you guys a question?
Please.
You sure can.
Person, we have 6 minutes to kill. So.
Real quick, before you ask it, I do need to shout out Phil Bowman for gifting 20 gifted memberships today.
Shout out Phil.
When they gift memberships, what does that mean? They're buying memberships for other
Yes.
viewers? Oh, that's
By the way, I just happened to come across this video. This is one of the best scenes in the history of the movies, from dusk till dawn, with the amazing Salma Hayek. Does anybody remember this scene?
I've actually never seen that movie, unfortunately.
Never seen
It's
it.
on my list to watch.
Get a close up on this. Oh.
You saw Bull's search history there?
Can't be as bad as pickleball.
There's George Clooney. He was in From Dusk Till Dawn. A little foot action
We're going to
there.
get in trouble for this?
This might be copyright rules, dude.
Yeah, Salma Hayek was. I don't know if there was ever a hotter woman in the history of the world than Salma Hayek at this point in her life. In 30
I don't know who has
Tarantino
ADD
wrote
worse
that
near
scene
you.
for himself.
Jason Lloyd.
I don't have
Jason Lloyd's bad.
AD&D. I don't have ADHD at all. I just remember this. I was looking for something to talk about for the final 5 minutes.
Well,
He just said,
I have a legit question.
Go ahead.
to ask
Sorry,
you
give
guys.
me a legit question.
One of my good friends from high school is getting married in September, and his bachelor party is this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I did not end up going because I fully anticipated the Cavs making the NBA Finals. I thought we'd be working. I have some other stuff
You
going
really
on.
didn't go because of that?
Yeah, genuinely speaking. It's in Tahoe. Tahoe's a
But you couldn't change your mind when they got eliminated?
Well, I'll
right,
get to
go
it. But long story short, I'm not
Yeah.
going.
Yes.
We're doing a separate. I'm going to go visit him in New York later this summer.
Yeah.
My other buddy, my best friend, you guys met, Chris has been in here, was like, are you going to chip in for the bachelor party?
Why
Even
would
though
you chip
Are
in?
you
You're
in
not
the wedding?
going.
I'm not in the wedding. I'm not going.
Yeah.
I was invited to the bachelor party, even though I'm not in the wedding.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you going to chip in?
No.
And I was like, well, I'm not going. I wasn't planning it. So I was like, let me get back. Let me see what. Am I obligated to chip into a bachelor party that I was invited to but
Absolutely
cannot
not.
go?
Dude,
No.
your friend's an idiot.
Well, he wasn't like pressuring me to do it.
Remember when we talked about like awareness?
Yeah.
This guy's got no awareness. Like,
Yeah,
why
what
would
is he-
why
why
would
would he
you
ask
even?
you that?
I would have actually made him feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, "You're joking, right?"
You were actually thinking maybe you should.
Yeah, it was.
How much is the chip in?
Thank God you asked us.
I mean, I was gonna
because-
chip in like $100
Why would you chip in
No.
$100? You're not
Why?
going.
For those guys.
because it's my buddy Harrison. Wanted him to have a good bachelor party.
First of all,
How about you do this? How about you do something for him specifically?
Yeah, I'm going to visit him in New York.
No, I know that,
before.
but I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
maybe there's something you could.
get him a hooker.
I wouldn't do
Well,
that.
that's what I was thinking. Like my
That's
fund-
what you were thinking of getting him a
Well,
hooker?
my funds would go to help that part.
He's
of
getting
the,
married. Don't get him a hooker. I'm kidding.
Listen, you find out where they're going to dinner one night,
Yeah.
and then you send a bottle to their table or something, like a bottle of wine.
Okay, that's
classy.
that's the smarter way to do. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
They're just randomly chipping $100 that he
You don't know
not
where
even-
it's going, and
Yeah.
then at least then you feel like you know that he got it, and then he'll send you a text.
I think
He'll
your friend
feel
Chris
like-
was just
because you call the restaurant and
Yeah.
it'd be like actually thoughtful.
Okay.
That's a good
I would
call.
recommend that.
I like
And
that.
he wasn't pressuring
I
me
think
to
your
do
friend
it. He
Chris was just trying to get like $100 of gambling money from you.
No, Chris does fine. He does not
Yeah,
pay my
yeah.
money. Trust me. But he wasn't like pressuring me. He was just like,
Yeah.
"Are you done?" I was like, "Oh."
Yeah,
I hadn't really thought of that, but
Is there somebody else that's not going that is doing that?
I have no
Is
idea.
that why he brought it up? Like, why would he
not.
think to even ask you that? That's bizarre.
I don't know. I gave him a maybe.
I'm so flabbergasted by the fact that he would even ask
I
you
know,
that.
it
Like,
just doesn't make any sense.
and your friends have money. You said, right?
yeah, they do
like
pretty
enough,
good.
they have
yeah,
jobs.
Yeah, they do pretty
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're off the hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel
If
better.
you want to do something nice, like send the wine or whatever.
I think he
you
was
know.
asking more because he knows I like to. I feel bad about not being able to be there.
Yeah.
I wanted to help, like give, but I think the bottle of wine is
Yeah, or
perfect.
something like that. I
Perfect.
mean,
Yeah.
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 Alright.
Chipping
Doesn't
in just random money to a pot doesn't
Yeah,
really make
it's
much
just
sense.
yeah. No, that's the way to go. I'm gonna do that. I'm sending
Yeah,
a bottle
yeah.
of wine at dinner,
That's classy.
bottle of champagne.
Yeah, just find out where they're going.
Yeah.
And you actually just
I actually
say,
know where they're going. So
oh, then you
I'll-
call
yeah,
right
I'll
now.
call it
You
up right
probably
now, yeah.
give them your credit card and they'll handle it.
Easy,
Yeah.
done. That guy talk.
We just solve problems here.
Beautiful.
That's what we do.
And you have any
That's it.
problems you need to be solved in the next 90 seconds?
Look, man, I was in a wedding. I didn't go to the bachelor party, and I didn't contribute to the bachelor party. So don't pay anything for that.
Hey, I got
Yeah.
I got an invoice for my bachelor party.
What do you mean?
I ended up having
You paid the bill for your bachelor party?
well, it's
So don't make me chipping in for when I'm not there now.
Wait a second.
Feels way
Who was
way
supposed
less
to be in
imperative.
charge of your bachelor
let's just leave it there. Let's leave it there.
All
I'll be
right.
hon- like, also too, you're invited to the bachelor party, but you're not in the wedding. Isn't that the whole point? Is the groom's party for that?
No,
No,
I
No,
invited
other friends come
Yeah.
to bachelor
I
parties.
invited.
Fair enough.
I had like 20 people at my bachelor party, and
Yeah,
I only
so-
had two
Yeah,
people
and
in my.
by the way,
wedding party.
None of my friends have gotten married.
as we
yet,
get
so I don't
older,
know.
it's tougher to coordinate, like having
Yeah.
Yeah.
all the like I couldn't coordinate all my groomsmen to be there, and you just sort of then go down the Rolodex and you're like, you want to have your buddies there,
Yeah.
you know? So
Right.
whatever, you 20 guys, great. You're,
that was the last.
More
time
the
I was-
merrier.
That was the last time I was drunk. Was my bachelor
Where'd
party?
you go?
casino.
No, I wasn't gambling at that point.
Was it in Cleveland?
No,
No.
I was married before I moved here. We went to a steakhouse, and I can't remember now some steakhouse in Manhattan.
Delmonico's?
No, not Delmonico's.
Peter Luger's?
No, it wasn't Peter Luger's. I don't remember.
Morton's?
Peter Luger's actually is in Brooklyn.
Outback?
No, Outback. And then we went out to
Texas
a bar,
Roadhouse.
and I just got
Shit-faced?
completely shit-faced.
Bull,
See you
tell
in
the rest of that
overtime.
story in overtime.
Later.
Peace.